Welcome to Theme Park Workshop. This is episode number 52, and I am joined by our co-host, Adam Johnson. Oh, I'm Bella Harvey. Adam Johnson,
I do the same thing, girl. Don't you worry.
Slay, and Kelley Hoffman.
Hey, hey, hey.
Just think while you've been getting down. Okay, anyway. This is episode number 52, like I said, and today we are breaking down our top 10 theme park things. Anything, really. Kind of, but not really. Adam will get into the qualifications here in a second. But before we get started, I just wanted to say thank you to our patrons, Landon Kanoki, Jonathan Edward, Jordan Buster, Greg Harvey, Joshua Gonzalez, Rachel Sprague, Jen Harvey, and Dwayne and Teresa Diker. Thank you, everyone. We love you, besties. Slay. We love you guys. Thank you for supporting us over on Patreon. And if you want to join them, have your name mentioned in an episode, head on over to our Patreon. It is Theme Park Workshop. Yep.
Patreon.com/theme park workshop. Exactly.
Period. We have so many different handles and like different ways to like put it. It gets confusing.
And it's all
So-
because Elon Musk's Twitter does not allow for a handle to be Theme Park Workshop, so we got to call it TP.
Elon Musk sucks.
This is true. This is true.
Don't take down the podcast though, Elon. Thanks. Anyway, like I said, episode 52, top 10. Adam, would you? Oh my God, we've got a guest. We've got a guest.
This is already the best
Hello?
episode. It's got a cat in it.
No,
Tuna says
literally.
hello. If you're not on the
Hi.
YouTube, you can't see her unless she says anything.
Hi, Tuna. Look at that pretty cat. She's so cute. Adam, do you want to go through the qualifications and the rules
Absolutely.
of what we had to do, all the grueling tasks we had to do and sort through to make our top 10?
Absolutely. This has definitely been like the most intense prep we've done for an episode and the most excited we've been for an episode. It's both since like last year's HHN prep episode. But we really wanted to honor these attractions that we love so much. So if you want to play along at home, leave it in the comments down on YouTube or Spotify, tweet at us, all that jazz. Here's the criteria we used to make our lists. So it's top 10 attractions that we've ever done. Extinct and or current. It can be a mix. It does not have to be inclusive of everything I'm about to say. What qualifies? Rides, shows, any show. Parades, nighttime spectaculars, street atmosphere, like those character interactions, and maybe some scare zones. Oh, we'll see. Meet and greets, haunted houses, interactive touch points. I know some of you like to Frontierland shoot arcades and play with Perry the Platypus in the World Showcase Adventures. Those count. Exhibits like One Man's Dream or a preview center of some sort. Shops, escape games, and they don't necessarily have to be at a theme park, but that is themed entertainment. Theme park restaurants and other attractions outside of theme parks like Star Trek or Galactic Star Cruiser. But what does not qualify? Because you might be thinking, I got a lot of ideas, but we could not do these things. Couldn't do whole lands. There's a lot of attractions in those. That's cheating. Or a whole park. One of them is so dear to my heart, but I could not include it. Game arcades, come on. No, we all know you're there for the Star Wars Trilogy arcade game. It doesn't count. And individual food items, though we love pizza fries, they were disqualified. So, that was the rules we went with. And it made it hard. Easy, but hard. Bella, you have a question?
Don't food booths count?
Yes, food booths count, but food items do not.
Individual food.
Yeah.
Just wanted to double check on that.
Yep, no. Pizza fries, for example. I'm not saying pizza fries are on my list. They could have been if I was talking about the pizza fry food booth, but I couldn't be like, look at these pizza fries. That's not an attraction. But you can find the booth on the map. That's another way to look at it. Can you find it on the map?
That's a good way to like that. Yeah.
That would have made the last 3 weeks much easier, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I asked a question today.
Literally up
And,
until the last second. Yeah.
45
I've
minutes
had
ago.
So here's my disclaimer here. I've had this list for weeks because we have all had a lot going on. We've been trying to schedule this episode for so long. The thing is, I changed it about 10 minutes ago, one thing on there. So I just need y'all to know that this list could be null like a week from now. I don't know. There's certain things that are never going to go off of this list, most likely, but it's hard to make this list. So don't judge if you have not tried to make one yourself, because it's tough.
It was hard. I started with like my immediate thoughts, which was like 15 things. And then I went into top 10, and then I reordered the top 10, and then I did my honorable mentions, and then I redid my honorable mentions, and then I finally nailed it down to my top 10 and my honorable mentions. It was hard.
Yeah, no, I definitely like came up with like 25 right off the bat. But I'm like, I really want to make sure I'm considering the things that no longer exist that I definitely did. So like what happened between the year 2000 and 2024 that I may have done. And I'm like, oh, that was good. That was good. And then my list got longer. And then I opened up a bunch of Wikipedia lists. I had to make a separate list of my favorite roller coasters to make sure I was being honest. A lot of lists were made, a lot of Wikipedia spirals were gone down. But you know, we Angela Bassett did the thing.
Well,
I love that.
if y'all are cool with it, I would love to get us started and discuss my honorable mentions.
Let's
Slay.
do it. Let's go, girls.
So I had 10 honorable mentions, which is how many items are on this list. So apologies, but I'm going to go through them quickly. First, I'm going to start with one that's cheating. So we were not allowed to do full lands, but if we could have, this would have absolutely been on my list. And it is Avengers Campus, which if you're on the YouTubes, that is behind me. It's interesting because if you've listened to our Disneyland episode, my least favorite Disney ride of all time, pretty much. I mean, I'd have to really look at my least favorites, but I say it is. So that is in this zone, or land, whatever it is. However, it did not take that much away from me. I could stand here for hours. I loved the characters. I had to just double check this because I probably could have. I don't have anything from this land on my list, but everything except for this friggin' web slingers ride could have been on this list. So it's all fantastic. The meet and greets are fantastic. The restaurant is fantastic. The rides are fantastic. This is the most I'll talk about any honorable mention, because this literally would have been really high on my list if I could have just picked a whole land, even though nothing specific is on there. I have the Fiends show from Hello Scream Tampa. I think that show is so fun. I have not done it in a few years, so I don't know if it's still good.
It's coming to Williamsburg.
Oh.
I think it's Williamsburg is where it's going.
Yeah. It's a fun show, and I have a lot of memories from it. I've gone to Hello Scream ever since I got obsessed with Halloween Horror Nights. I haven't gone as consistently, but for most of my life, I went starting from 12 years old, and I always saw that show, and it was like a big thing for me. So it's funny, it's fun, it keeps the same kind of stuff every year, but then it changes some of the jokes. So it would be close to my top 10, but not quite there. I also have a Blast from the Past, Nicktoons Blast, which is now the Minions Despicable Me something. Adam probably knows the name. Oh, you do?
Despicable Me, Minion Mayhem.
Oh. Well, that one. And you know, I don't ride that much, but I loved the Nicktoons Blast ride. It definitely needed to be updated. I'm not one of those people that's like, man, they should have kept it. I wish they kept it, but it was like pretty dated. But I absolutely loved like all the properties on there. It was like all my favorite shows from when I was a kid. I was a big Jimmy Neutron fan, which was like the main thing. Chicken Dance at the end, I still quote. So, llama. But maybe we'll do an episode on that at some point. Who knows? Maybe. Spoiler. Cosmic Rewind is on there. People might be shocked to hear that. It's a great roller coaster. I just couldn't put it above these other things that are on my list. Speed Round, Jaws Ride, it's amazing. Dinosaur, I'm gonna miss it so much. I almost cried my last ride. I know, it's not on the list, I know. I tried to do not that many rides, or else if it was 10 rides, I think it would have been on there, but because it wasn't 10 rides, it's not. Velocicoaster, great ride. Chewbacca meet and greet at Disney. I have met Chewbacca so many times, especially in college. It might have made it on there if it was something that I do all the time now, but because I haven't done it in so long, it's not on there. But, you know, and this is in no particular order, by the way. This part, the other list will, I tried, but it's hard. Twisted Tradition Scare Zone from HHN 28. I spent a lot of time, one of my very good friends from acapella was in the zone. I had a lot of interactions and I had some really fun stories that maybe I'll tell on the Patreon that meant a lot to me, that I get emotional thinking about. So that one was almost on this list. I had to replace it with something else. And the Christmas Blues Brothers show at Universal. I love that show. I think it's fun. I don't know what the full name of it is or anything, but I just love it. So that's my honorable mentions. Very Universal heavy, actually. But what do y'all got?
You're making me rethink my honorable mentions, because there's like things that like I didn't even think of that like 100% are on my honorable mentions. You just made me rethink all of mine. But your list of honorable mentions is so good. It's so like you.
Thank you.
It's very
Like-
interesting. Yeah. No, I thought it's very interesting. I'm interested. I think it's interesting both what made the honorable mentions, like, oh, I didn't think about that, but as Bella said, that's so Kelley. But what didn't make your top 10? There's some in here I'm like, I'm surprised. It didn't
There's
make your top 10.
definitely
But I know you
there's
said if it
definitely-
were rides, it would have made it.
there's definitely stuff that I think was going to be on y'all's list that'll shock me, or like won't be on y'all's list that'll shock me.
Yeah. But since I also have 12 honorable mentions, I will rapid fire through these things. The first honorable mention, and I'm going to say no particular order, but let's be real, this is my 12th through 1. The Tribute Store Float Factory and Prop Warehouse from Universal Mardi Gras 2022. I don't know. I think if we are like, is it really better than some rides that don't make, or some attractions that don't make my list? I don't know. But stores count, and this is probably the best store I've gone through, and it's definitely the best tribute store I think Universal's ever done. And I need to run through these, so that's all you're going to get. Beetlejuice's Graveyard Review, the 2002 version that lasted until it became Beetlejuice's Graveyard Mashup. Childhood favorite, very PG-13, but my childhood favorite. Katonga from Busch Gardens Tampa Bay, 2004 to 2010. I think that is, if I watched it back, I'd probably say that's the best theme park show ever. But it's been so long, but I did go back and watch a little bit, and I still remember a lot of things, but because it's just so far off, and I've never talked about it ever, it really does not feel right to put it on the list. That's why it's on the honorable mentions, but go watch Katonga. Tomorrowland Transit Authority People Mover. It's the People Mover. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. One of the best rides at Disney's Hollywood Studios. T2 3D Battle Across Time. Listen, the last 2 years were bad for it, but that was a game-changing attraction for little Adam Johnson. Fury 325 at Carowinds Park. Most intense roller coaster I think I've ever been on, and I did it front row my first time. Absolutely memorable and such a great layout. E.T. Adventure did not make my list, but it certainly has to be in my honorable mentions. The Jurassic World Velocicoaster is an honorable mention for me as well. Festival of the Lion King, it may be my favorite show. However, I've only seen it once, so really, I can't put it there, but it's fantastic. I'm sorry, but like, I want to do it more. I wish I'd done it 10 times, but the fact of the matter is I've only done it once. I need to time myself better and like go to Animal Kingdom. My second to last honorable mention is Bugs Eaten Alive from Universal Orlando's Halloween Horror Nights in 2022. Love that campy classic. And then finally, Star Tours: The Adventures Continue at Disney's Hollywood Studios. Those are my honorable mentions.
That's a good mix.
I try.
That's a good
Your honorable mentions are making me feel like a fraud because I realized I don't have anything from Tomorrowland in my list or my honorable mentions, and I always say it's my favorite, and now I'm like, oh, I don't have the People Mover on here.
fraud.
So just know it should be like top of my honorable mentions. I don't know, my brain's broken, but that's a great honorable mention. I love the People Mover so much.
That's like I said with Kelley, that's so Adam. Like it's so real. Except the fact that you've only seen Folk once. Like that's insane.
Hey, girl, I agree.
But like it's really difficult to stay in DAC for long periods of time because especially in the summer, it's so hot.
Especially when you're getting around to the last showtime and you might have plans after it closes and you're like, do I ride Flight of Passage or do I see Festival of the Lion King? And the last time I chose Flight of Passage.
Real.
So, unfortunately.
Real decision.
Wait. Yeah, I chose that and I had just enough time to do It's Tough to Be a Bug and then my day was over.
Rip.
Yeah.
You guys want to hear my unpopular opinion here? Well,
Of course.
I think it's unpopular. I would say, and I'm a fraud again because I don't even know the full name of it. This would also probably be an honorable mention. The main reason I didn't include it was because I have not gone in it post-COVID, and apparently it has changed. But I would say that the Nemo show is better than Festival of the Lion King, in my opinion. But I think they're both great. But it's the one I enjoy more. But I have not gone post-COVID.
Well, it is about like 25 minutes now. It's very short.
Which is I mean, I guess I could have put the old version on my list.
True. It is
So
a different
I also
show.
have 12
I only
honorable
saw the
mentions.
old one once.
Aw, you missed out on greatness. Now you just
I
got
know
goodness.
I did. Now it's still kind of fun though.
Oh no, you're not wrong. Yeah, totally. It just
It's also-
speed runs.
It's also one of those things that I also haven't done it as much as some of the stuff on my list, so it's like it probably wouldn't have made it, but it's really good.
Yeah, no,
Or
that's
it
like the
was,
difficult
rest in
thing.
peace.
It's like best favorite. Am I an imposter or am I true to myself? It's like life.
Yes. Oh god. Is it my turn?
It is.
Yes.
I'm so excited,
See,
Bella Harvey.
I only have, let's count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 7 honorable mentions.
Have you added 3 since we?
I indeed added 2.
But honestly,
This is
Bella,
so
that's
funny.
so valid because that's what honorable mentions should be.
Yeah, because like I didn't even think about it until you mentioned them, Kelley.
See, I would have added 2 to my list as well, and I probably will have more to add after you speak to my honorable mentions if I had not gone first. So understandable.
My honorable mentions and my top 10 are like so painfully me that it's really funny. Okay. In no particular order. Cosmic Rubine. But specifically with Everybody Wants to Rule the World. Even though I've only gotten that once. But that is the best song. Fight me on it. 2, or not 2, out of order. Dinosaur, R.I.P. I will be chaining myself to a dinosaur animatronic so they can't get rid of it. And what are you going to do to stop me? Nothing, because you can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man. Like, come on. Number 3, this is a big if you know situation, and I'm sure maybe y'all will. And this doesn't even really count as it's not an attraction, it's not a ride. I just needed to talk about it. That one AC vent in Fairy Tale Hall in Magic Kingdom on the Cinderella and Elena side. If you know, you know. Do you know? Do you know?
This is why you said this is the most Bella list, because you included an AC vent.
But do you know which one I'm talking about? Oh my god. Okay, so it's on Cinderella and Elena's side of the hall, and when you're about you have to do all those switchbacks and you're about to turn the corner into the main line where they split you off. It's that last AC vent on that corner. You go through the switchbacks. It's on that arch where you walk through and then it's the pictures. It's that one right there. I will literally send you guys a video of it. That thing is like hurricane force winds. It is the best thing ever. I'm not even kidding. I'm dying. If y'all are watching the YouTube, you need to be watching the YouTube.
I need to tell the audience, whether you're on the YouTube or not, I have I'm only in this room for one more, like this last recording session, but I am in a room with bright orange walls. I'm trying so hard to not look orange, and she's making me cry laugh so that my face is turning like a tomato anyway.
Listen, it had to be said. It's it. Next time y'all go to Magic Kingdom, you need to go stand underneath that air vent in the Cinderella and Elena line because it will change your life. All your sweat will be dried in 2 seconds because you're in hurricane force winds. It's the best. It's the best. I have videos. My hair's all over the place. My eyelashes are going. I'll find the video later. Anyway, continuing on. Toontown, which not the land, but Mickey and Minnie's house in Toontown in Magic Kingdom. I vividly remember opening the fridge and like everything dancing in the fridge. I loved that area. Yeti House 2013, Yeti Campground Kills. Specifically for that one man. What the hell are those things? Specifically for that man. There were a couple nights where we did that house last and there was no one in the house, so I just stood in front of him while he did that trigger line, and he was smiling so hard, I was smiling so hard. It was the best. It was like one of my favorite parts of the season. And then we have Cat in the Hat, the ride, Island Adventure. I just rode it 2 days ago. It was great. I love.
Can I make an inquiry? Is it the current version or back when it used to spin more?
Well, see, I never went on it when it used to spin more. And I wish I did. And then, surprisingly, in my honorable mentions, even though this is still kind of new, Mega Movie Parade. I love Mega Movie Parade. And like I said in the last episode, absolute cinema. Marty Scorsese, absolute cinema. I adore that parade. I love it. It's so good. And that's why it's on there. But anyway, those are my honorable mentions.
I love you. Oh, these lists are all so us already. This is why I was really excited for this episode. Right? Because, like, without getting too sappy, because we already had an anniversary episode for that. Like, I love y'all, and I have loved getting to know y'all these past, like, couple years now at this point, of being, like, closer friends. Mm-hmm. And these lists are just so, like, if you want to know who we are, this is the perfect episode to figure individually who we are, because the air vent comment there, among everything else y'all said, but
you have to go experience it for yourself. Like, it will change your life. Moving on. Do we want to move on to the main event? The top 10?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Does that mean I start? Are we going in the same order?
We'll go in the same order, and we'll go 10 through 6, and then 5 through 3, and then 2, 1.
All right.
You ready? Ew.
Yes. Dramatic music. Insert here. Okay. Number 10. This is actually what kicked out the Twisted Tradition Scare Zone, because that, like I said, it wasn't in a specific order for the honorable mentions, so that was there. I switched it out with this because I asked like 10 minutes before we started recording if I could do something from something that's attached to the theme parks, so City Walk or Disney Springs. This is my only thing that I have that's not in a theme park. But it's Cowfish, actually. And the reason is because I go to Cowfish like almost every time I go to Universal. Like, unless I'm like really broke and I'm like bringing a bagged lunch, like I'm going to Cowfish if I can get in. There's tips and tricks to get in and sit at the bar, but I can't tell them to you because then everyone will do it. I'm just kidding. There's not that many people listening, probably. If you go upstairs.
Ma'am?
I meant like there's not like thousands of people listening. Like, if you guys like
I mean, I look at our view counts every day too and think, how could we grow that? But dang.
Okay, that was too negative. You need to cut that out of the podcast. It sounds so mean.
It's staying. You're done.
No! I'm gonna be canceled. All right, I'm not telling you guys my secret. I lied. I'll tell you too. But
secret, can you keep it?
But I go there almost every time I go. I always get a bento box. I never stray from that. With a boss roll. Anyway, number 9 is the Hocus Pocus Villain Spelltacular. It's a great show. I wish that I went to Not So Scary more often. I've been several times. Honestly, I've probably seen this show less than Nemo, and I was just like, oh, I couldn't put Nemo because I haven't been that many times. But like, it's had such an impact on me. And the last time I went, we were able to be front row, and it was just the coolest thing. It has all of the best villains, and it's fun. And I love Hocus Pocus. It's just such a great show. Like, it's a good time. And if you're in the front there, it's lovely. So it had to be there. Spooky vibes. I had to put it. Number 8 is Yak and Yeti. This is my only other restaurant on the list. I was shocked that I put 2 restaurants, to be honest. But again, if I'm at Animal Kingdom, I have to go to Yak and Yeti. And it's one of those things that's like, it's a sit down restaurant. It's kind of more expensive. But not only is the food great, like with Cowfish, and I do like the theming of Cowfish as well, but the theming for Yak and Yeti is really fun. The staff like are the nicest people you've ever met. I have a Landry's card, so we always get to skip the line. That trick I'll tell you about because that's like legit. It's great.
What is that? Tell us
You can
after.
pay. Okay. Well, I'll tell
Do you
real
want to
quick.
give them the secrets?
Yeah, it's a secret, but it's like not that secret. You can do it.
Okay.
You pay $25 for this little card, but you get a $25 reward. So you get the money back in rewards. And you can use it, and they save special space for Landry's members. I am telling y'all because I've never had a problem getting a table with this. Like they always are like, oh, it'll be 10 minutes or less. So they save like special Landry's member tables. And then you also get a $25 reward on your birthday, and you really don't have to like do anything. There's no annual fee. There's no like, you don't have to spend a certain amount around the year. And you just buy it when you go to a restaurant. I actually bought mine from Bubba Gump Shrimp Co., which was one of the other ones. But that and Yak and Yeti are pretty much the only 2 I go to. What is it? Rainforest Cafe's included. I don't really like that place that much, but you can use it there. And then there's a bunch of random places around the country. So get you a Landry's card and you too can skip the line. But it's always a fun time and the food is delightful. And I get the same thing every time there as well. And it's perfect. I get the chicken fried rice and the firecracker shrimp. Okay. Number 7. This is a currently extinct I guess you'd call it a nighttime spectacular, nighttime thing. I have heard that like maybe it would come back, and it better, because I will fight Mickey Mouse himself. But it's the Cinderella's Castle Dreamlights, and I think they're beautiful. They have not really been doing them the past couple years. I honestly I didn't really include it as like the entire show. Like I was just saying the lights themselves, but I do think it's cool when like Elsa lights them up. So I'm kind of, what is it, retconning? Is that the term? I'm kind of like, I don't know what that stands for, but I'm like kind of like going back and I'm like, maybe the whole show part with it, but I think it's cute and magical. So the Dreamlight. And 6 is Hagrid's, actually. So this is my official declaration that I think Hagrid's is better than Velocicoaster. That's a top debate. I do think it's better because I think the theming is fantastic. And I don't know how to describe it. It feels like you're going to magical creatures class, first of all, which to have that much storytelling in a roller coaster, I always appreciate. And I feel like this roller coaster does storytelling better than any other roller coaster I've been on, which is a hot take, but I don't think it's a crazy take either, because I think a lot of people would agree with that. I guess I won't spoil it because there might be people who are listening to this that have never been on it and don't know this, but there's one part that is particularly thrilling that like scared the heck out of me the first time I did it in the best way, and it's amazing. And it's like one of my favorite moments on like a theme park ride at all. So I just think it's fun. I love the unicorn at the end. Unicorns. She's a mom.
He's a
Um,
mom.
but just everything about it is just incredible. I've actually still never seen the pre-show, so couldn't tell you if I like that or not. Because I'm always going through the other line, so I don't know. But it's just I just love that ride. I couldn't not include it. It's great. And I love roller coasters, and I mean, it's probably my favorite roller coaster. I love it. Not to spoil, I guess, but slight spoiler.
No, that's a good first 6. It's
Yeah.
very you. Yak and Yeti on there is so real.
Mm-hmm.
I've only been once, but yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
good.
Maybe we should all go.
We
I've
should.
never been. I would love to chow down
Oh,
with
it's so
some
good.
yaks and some yetis. Maybe have some yams. I don't know if they have
A
yams.
lot of YAs. I don't know, but I will say, and I said I get the
Good.
same thing every time. I've tried other things on the menu and everything's delightful. I just know what I want.
Fair.
It's from the Mandalorian, right? What is it? Does he say I know what I want? Oh, you have what I want. That's
Oh.
me. You have something I want. Found it. That is me every time I walk into Yak and Yeti, and it's about the chicken fried rice.
It's so good.
Valid.
If I could
They're,
have a single food item, it'd probably be that, but I'm
they
putting the whole
have
restaurant.
they have like pot stickers there, right? Or something to that effect. It's been a while since I've
Yes.
been.
Those are good too.
Those
I
are
get those
good.
sometimes.
I had a virgin strawberry daiquiri as well. Very
Ooh.
good.
They have really good cocktails and mocktails there. They have a lot of delicious drinks. 10 out of 10.
Period.
Work.
Adam,
I guess it is my moment of truth to give my bottom 5. Well, let's just rip the Band-Aid off. My number 10 is an attraction I didn't think was going to make the list or the honorable mentions. Because I would hate, I would kick myself and mourn if I could not work an attraction or my most beloved theme park, or at least one of them, into this list at all. And but I'm like, do I like the whole more than any of the parts? Do the parts of this whole stand alone well with anything? And I'm like, but yes, it does. And so my number 10 is Cyberspace Mountain at Disney Quest. So if you've never been, and that if you didn't enter Disney Springs before 2017, you probably didn't do it. And if you did and you just saw the big building, thought that's going to stay forever, you were wrong because it's gone now. But Cyberspace Mountain was an experience where you could build your own roller coaster and virtually ride it and actually feel go through the sensations of your simulated roller coaster. We did this countless times when my family went to Disney Quest. I think this is an important ride to have at Disney because it's a stepping stone ride for was a stepping stone ride for young theme park goers who want to feel the sensations of going upside down and choosing to go upside down however many times they want, or to do all the thrills that they want, without the fear of heights. You could just be like, can I stand that sensation? And then you make that decision. It's a great memory maker with the experience. There are so many memories that I made on this. You can actually buy a DVD of your ride through. And then eventually they stopped selling souvenirs. So eventually, just film it on your phone. This little video here, a cast member would do it, or whatever family wasn't riding would do it. But I hope this DVD still exists. And if it does, I will burn it on here. It's kind of embarrassing for me, but what the hey. My mom and we rode together all the time because she got me into roller coasters and whatnot. But I got nervous. When the capsule closed because you would build your roller coaster with Bill Nye the Science Guy on a computer. You'd wait in line. You'd give them the card on what your roller coaster was. You walk up to a cast member. They'd walk you through. They tell you what level it was of 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And then you go into this red capsule and it would close down. There's a screen in front of you that shows the roller coaster you built, kind of like Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 or Thrillville, if those are the games you grew up with, like myself. And then you'd have your harnesses down and everything. But as the castle was closing, I let out some nervous gas, and I hotboxed my mother and and it's on film. We have the souvenir. And I hope to God I can find this tape, and this for the next 2 minutes you'll enjoy it. If I can't find it, I'll drop it on the Patreon whenever I do. It is a spectacular, spectacular memory. And I can't do it anymore. Sync Quest is gone. Also, before I move on from Cyberspace Mountain and go into the rest of my bottom 5, is the I don't know if y'all have ever played Kingdom Hearts 2. I have. I'm a Kingdom Hearts nut. But if you play the gummy ship level in that, it feels very much like the same vibe as Cyberspace Mountain, up to like the whole like techno whatever feel and some of the sound design. And I know Tetsuya Nomura is a Disney freak. He's the director and creator of this beloved video game series, because this man knows what the heck Mickey, Donald, Goofy, the Three Musketeers is. He got sea salt ice cream, one of the most important plot devices from Tokyo Disney. This man flew to Florida and definitely did Disney Quest and fell in love and said, that's what Chip and Dale are going to create in my video game series. So I think it's iconic. It's historic. For a lot of people, it was the reason to go to Disney Quest, and I do think it truly is the one that transcends this lost art that is Disney Quest. And this is just a hint of my love of Disney Quest. The Cyberspace Mountain, I mean, it was the best of us. Moving on to my number 9, and you're gonna be thinking about my gas the whole episode. Is this is it my no, it is my favorite show, but is it the best show? I don't know, but it is a mandatory visit for me, and I'm actually surprised it didn't come up in any of y'all's lists. Maybe once I say, you'll be like, "Ah, crap, I should have done it." And I have to do it. I've done it countless times. Every time I go to Universal Studios Florida, I have to do this opening year attraction, and that's Universal Orlando's Horror Makeup Show. Horror Makeup Show, I think, is the best attraction at Universal Studios Florida, period. There's some great rides. It's a very relaxing vibe of a park, but this is the best thing there for me. Its reputation endures because there's 2 attractions that have been around since opening day, opening year, this and E.T. And this has gone through changes. Back in the day, it used to be a different set. They used to have a fly gag at the Jeff Goldblum fly, like, what a world, what, or help me. They used to do that instead of Eddie. Now they got Eddie. Eddie's great. I've seen the Van Helsing version. I saw the Wolfman version. I've seen the Mummy version countless times, and I know the gags. I know the lines. I could probably murmur the entire show from my seat because I've seen it so many times. I do it just about every time I'm at Universal. But it's just so dang entertaining. There's the improv element of all these fantastic performers, and the more you go, the more you recognize some performers. And you're like, oh, I see they're this character now. I see that they're that character now. How are they going to react? What are they feeling like at 3:15? How crazy is this show going to get? Because I've seen some normal shows, with some mild improv, and I've seen shows where the 2 hosts are about to pee their pants, and I am too. It's also educational to an extent. It's not like a whole breakdown of how to do horror makeup. This will not lead you to make your first movie with everything you need to know, but I think there's a reason I think young kids like this show, for how bloody and gory and graphic some of the effects are, because it breaks it down in simple enough ways, but you learn and you get to oh wait, I never thought about movie making as a thing. I never thought about horror makeup or makeup in general as just something I can go into. And the actors, they did a wonderful write-up of it on the Discovery Universal blog. I'll link it in the show notes, where 2 of the longtime performers have been doing it since, I think, the first decade of the show. They've been doing it since then. They're telling stories of how people actually think they are makeup artists. And so they, as actors, have to learn so they can pass on valuable information and not break the illusion. And these kids and these teenagers are just so enraptured by this show. There are probably better shows than this. I think I mentioned Katanga and Festival of the Lion King in my honorable mentions. Those might be better shows, but I can't quote those like this one or make them essential parts of my day like this one. I love horror makeup. I tell everyone if they're coming to Universal for the first time, yeah, do like Velocicoaster, do Men in Black, do Mummy. These are essentials. But you gotta do horror makeup show. That is actually the most essential thing you can do at the resort. Number 8 might be a little controversial, and it's also making a ton of sense. Because why? Why would I put an attraction on here that's just a 20-minute short film? Why would I put something on here that does not move? Why would I put something on here that has not had a change since the 80s when the presentation, it's just 180, it's just 4 screens. But you know what? There's nothing like Impressions de France. Impressions de France at Epcot opened in 1982, and it is the longest running film theatrically screened in history. And you might think, like, what the heck? I've never heard of Impressions de France. Well, you should have, and now you will. And I thought I was crazy, man. I thought I was crazy for loving the show as much. There's a guy out there who loves this show more than I do. And I was reading his Letterboxd reviews. I'm like, dang, you have so much to say about these 25 minutes. Maybe I'm buying into the hype. But then I took Kelly Hoffman into Impressions de France. She loved it. I took my friends Jonathan and Brooke Edward. They loved it. And we saw it with kids around us, and they were enraptured by what they saw. You go on the tallest peaks of castles. You're inside the Eiffel Tower. You fly. You're in a market. You see so many perspectives of 1980s France. Yeah, it's outdated probably. I don't think France looks the same 40 years later, but there's nothing like this. Impressions de France is a transcendent experience, man. It's the building block for attractions like Soarin' over California. You go into Impressions de France at 7 o'clock, and then you ride Soarin' over California in your dreams. You're like, I see how they got there. And all the other travel logs. The difference is you don't fly Impressions de France, but your heart soars. It's a transcendent feeling, gang. Everyone loves it. The children love it. The adults love it. The people who had that Epcot after 4 pass back in the olden days, I bet you they spent their time here. It's a travesty, man. That Beauty and the Beast sing along takes over most of this attraction's time at the park. But rope drop this thing or close out your day with it. That's the only hours you can ride or experience this. But though it does not move, it is the ride of a lifetime. And I thought I was crazy for putting this above Universal Orlando's horror makeup show, but as I'm saying this, no, gang, this is my number 8, and I'm sticking to it. It's incredible. I mean, there are great rides. There are great rides at Epcot. That's why people go to Epcot. But there's nothing like Impressions de France, except my number 5.
I thought that could have been number 1, to be honest. I knew it was going to be on your list.
Honestly, the way I said that, I don't think I'm going to talk about my number 1 that way.
No, literally, like if you're talking about your number 8 that way, how are you talking about your number 1? Maybe I need to go see this now because I've only ever seen Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, girl. You're going to watch Beauty and the Beast, then the next show will be Impressions de France, and wonder why you ever spent time with that travesty. I know you like it, but I hate it.
I love Beauty.
Impressions de France is so good. It's so good. And they just got a 4K remaster, though the screens no longer hang, so the 180 effects kind of because they wanted to do a screen that's better for Beauty and the Beast sing along. It's still so good. It's to the
There's more than one screen in there?
well, there's 5 projections. So it's like
Heard.
bing, 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 bing.
Heard.
It used to be like they had 5 hanging screens or 6 hanging screens.
Heard.
Now they just use the wide, they open up the curtains and then they just project those individual images.
Heard.
The effect is slightly off, but as you can tell, what difference does it make? And it's to the tune of Carnival of the Animals, which is a fantastic musical piece of classical music. The ba-da-da-da-da-dum, which inspired Space Mountain in California. That's not on my list. I haven't been. Anyway, I'm going to move on because I can apparently spend all day on Impressions de France. We got to get to Bella's list. Number 7, Kumba at Busch Gardens, Tampa Bay. I frickin' love Kumba. It's not perfect. It's a bit dated. There's rumors every day that this thing is the next thing to go. But it is my favorite roller coaster to go on. maybe there's one other one, but really when I think about it, I love this ride the way I love a friend. When I'm on it, though I'm being shaken around, I can almost hug the harness because I just feel so safe and comfortable in the roarer's arms. Front row, back row, middle. I love Kumba. Um, there are better coasters at just about every other park and resort. Cosmic Rewind's probably better. What's some other roller coasters? No, it's better than Expedition Everest. It's Velocicoaster is a better
I
named roller
literally just
coaster.
said Everest right before you said Expedition Everest. That was so freaky. You're gonna have to rewind. I literally said Everest, and you said Expedition Everest. Oh my god, that was scary. That was really scary.
There are flashier coasters here. There's Montu, there's Cheetah Hunt, there's Iron Gwazi, but there's just no roller coaster like Kumba. I just love it, and it doesn't exceed many expectations, and it kind of just does not the bare minimum, but it does like what you'd expect. But it does it with class and style. You lift hill through a loop, and you go into a tunnel. It's great. There's 7 inversions. It's a great freaking time. I love Kumba. And that's all I have to say about that. Not as much apparently as Impressions de France, but no, I love it better than Impressions de France. I'm also being meaningful about my time. Oh, I'm going to go off again because I just remember what my number 6 is. Mickey's PhilharMagic at the Magic Kingdom. I adore this show, man. It is one of the few theme park attractions to regularly make me emotional, actually. The other one was the original version of Finding Nemo the musical, but that's because it's Finding Nemo, and that's a dang good story. I get emotional during Mickey's PhilharMagic. If you've never been on Mickey's PhilharMagic, it is a 15-20 minute 3D show through classic Disney movies and Coco, featuring Donald Duck. I don't mean to discount Coco, but Coco is like not even 10 years old. So classic movies and Coco. Yeah. So why does it make me emotional? One is just the most beautiful songs of some of the best films in Disney history. You've got Peter Pan, which is problematic, but besides that, it is one of the best Disney movies. If you can overlook that, don't even overlook it because it's pretty. Ugh. What are we doing there? Well, but everything around that is so magical. Just not the racism. Racism isn't magical. So we look at everything else. We got Peter Pan, we got The Little Mermaid, we got Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin, and the best songs from it. Howard Ashman, man, what a legend. And he's so featured in here. But besides just how great the music is, this is from 2003, which is the era of Disney I know most. Kingdom Hearts was in its prime. Mickey's House of Villains, Once Upon a Christmas. Mickey was killing it in direct to video, and that's what I was watching. House of Mouse on Disney Channel, like this is what I spent time with. So it's really representative of that era and Disney of that era. It's historical. It's the first CG film of all of the characters that beat Mickey's Twice Upon a Christmas. But because it's from 2003, most of the voices that we hear of the big four are no longer with us. Wayne Allwine is Mickey Mouse. He's my Mickey Mouse, and he's no longer with us. His wife, Lucy Taylor, voices Minnie Mouse. Fantastic performance, and she's no longer with us. I don't have as much of an attachment to Clarence Nash, but he is the classic voice of Donald. He's who's represented in this ride. It's a tribute to Donald Duck. Again, not emotional for Donald Duck, but still, it's like, man, Bill Farmer's all that we have left, but they leave such a legacy in here, and it just works. It's a celebration of the spirit and heart and strengths of Disney at the turn of the century. And I love that we have this beautiful thing here. And I don't consider myself a Disney adult, even though I'm waxing and waning about Mickey, Donald, and Goofy and Minnie. But nevertheless, that spirit, that heart, those strengths are so good just for like art. And I love that these strengths are represented here. And I think the 3D effect is great. I think they time the special effects. Like every 3D show has gags, but this one feels really organic to it, and it's just kind of transcendent. I think that's a word I'm going to use a lot tonight, is transcendent. And PhilharMagic is that for me. It's one of my favorites at Magic Kingdom. It's just such a dang good show. This is one I have to do. This is my horror makeup show for the Magic Kingdom. I love filler magic. If it ever leaves, what people are feeling right now for Muppet Vision, that is me for Philhar Magic. Unfortunately, it replaced Muppet Vision over in California, so maybe that's a bit of a sensitive topic
They
for
had
people.
Muppet Vision in California.
Yep. That's why the screen doesn't expand in California if you see filler magic over there. Yeah.
Oh, we really got to save Muppet Vision here then.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, yeah, I love Philhar Magic. I'm probably one of the weirdos who put this in like their top 10 of Disney, much less top 10 of all time, any attraction that we've ever done. So yeah, I love this show. I love everything that I just talked about. Yeah, so I'm gonna pass it on to you, Bella.
I can't get over you talking about impressions to France like that. That was so good.
I
Also,
kind of blacked out. What did I say?
You went off. You went off.
We, as Adam mentioned, we went to see that together. So I was expecting this. I'm shocked it wasn't higher. That's the best bubbly flavor, by the way.
Bellini Bliss. We're not sponsored, but
Ooh.
it is the best.
And it's not alcoholic, in case you guys heard Bellinis and said, oh, they're getting lit during the podcast. No, but that is the best sparkling water flavor is Bellini Bliss by
I need to
Bubbly.
try it.
Not sponsored. I wish we were. If they want to sponsor us, please send me send me a billion packages of Bellini.
Bellini or Bubbly, if you're now, they're never going to sponsor us. I call them Bellini. Bubbly, if you're listening. You want this face to sponsor you? You should.
They need to sponsor us.
It's true.
Also that Space Mountain thing at Disney Quest sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Minus your funny story, and I need to see that video because that's probably
I need to find that video.
Like comedy gold.
I also just have to say that is the same name as the Star Wars overlay that they do in Disneyland, is it not?
That's Hyper Space Mountain.
Oh.
Hyper Space Mountain.
Oh,
That's
okay, because I was gonna say at first I was like, really? But then I realized you have not been there and you have not been on that. So I was like, okay. I don't think I've been on that version of it either. It looks cool, but actually maybe I did. And I don't know. The first time I went to Disneyland was like 2016 or 17. And that doesn't seem that long ago, but I don't know. It is.
Yeah, fun fact about Cyberspace Mountain. It's the first of 3 Walt Disney World attractions to close that feature Bill Nye the Science Guy. It was followed by Ellen's Energy Adventure and many people's honorable mention, Dinosaur. This one was evidently my favorite.
Rest in peace, Bill Nye at Disney very soon. That's so sad.
I know. They need to.
We gotta bring him back.
He has to. They have to put him in Indiana Jones. He has to be in there.
He should. He should
be like, Indiana Jones.
He should be like the Doc Brown cameo in The Simpsons handing over the deed to the Institute.
What?
If you go on the Simpsons ride queue and you watch the videos long enough, Doc Brown shows up and gives Krusty the Clown the deed for the Institute of Future Technology to make it Krusty Land.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's sad.
It is, but it's
that's sad, but also really funny. Okay.
What do you got, Bella?
This is very me. So, if you know me, you know it's probably on this. Number 10. Starting strong with Siren Song at Hellish Scream Orlando. I love this show. I love the show. I love photographing the show. The music is so good. The dancing is so good. All of them are just like absolutely crushing it. I literally only go to Hellish Scream for Siren Song. Like I went like the first night and I did as much as I could in that amount of time. But like any other time I went, I literally would just back and forth between Siren Song and Monster Stomp. But I like Siren Song more because I can shoot that easier. I just like Siren Song is not easy to shoot. It's such a challenge, but it's so much fun. That's why I think it's part of my top 10. I love it so much. And then number 9, we have Fantasmic. I did not see Phantasmic until August of 2019. That was my first time watching Phantasmic, and I had to pass for like 3 or 4 years already. So like I just never went and saw it. And as much as I miss the OG version, I did love it. But this new one, oh, this new Phantasmic is so good. I like the Elsa scene and the Moana scene, crying my eyes out the whole time. I will never forget one time pre-COVID when I saw Phantasmic and the steamboat came around and the guests behind me were like, "Oh my god, Titanic!" I will never forget it. Um, I will literally never forget it. Anytime I see it, I'm like, "It's the Titanic." It's just like it's so even though it's been updated, it's so like classic like Disney parks and it just like in the pre-show loop. Honestly, the pre-show loop for Phantasmic is on my honorable mentions now. It is so good that I have the playlist of it on my phone and I listen to it a lot. It's so good. Hayden Panettiere, the Jonas Brothers, the song from Enchanted. It's just so good. The vibes, the vibes are good. Number 8, we have Wiki Growth from HHN 30. I loved this house so much. I need them to have it every year at HHN. Like this was my first like scary house at super scary house at HHN because I was really scared of it and everyone was saying it was scary and I went in it and it was indeed scary. But then it fueled me to go do the other scarier houses that year, like Hill House, which I was terrified of. And there, I think it was like Cast A or something. Was it Cast A? That always went like extra hard. And like they ended up recognizing us like the whole rest of the season. And like that last night, we're all doing heart hands to each other. And the Grim Reaper barked in my ear one night, and I'll never forget that. Um, what else happened in that house? That house, it was just like so good. Also, that effect on the floor where it looked like you were like above. Oh, and it smelled really good. Oh my god, I will never forget when I went in there during a cash change and there were 2 witches, or there were like double the witches in that room, and they were all doing the spell, and it was so cool. And I missed the Pumpkin Lord and that last scare in the house. That last scare in the house where you're not expecting it. Oh, mm, mm, mm. I would do anything to have that house back. I would do anything, anything, anything to have that house back. And then number 7. This one's kind of crazy, but not really, if you know me. It is it is the Trolls ice cream stand in DreamWorks Land.
Incredible.
I've only had one flavor too. I love the Trolls ice cream. I think Trolls ice cream is the greatest snack that's ever been brought to any theme park ever, besides the pickle at Disney World.
This is Bella's workaround for you're not allowed to include a food item. She's like, I haven't had anything else there, but it's the stand.
That's
and I
why
love that for
I asked.
you.
But also the theming of it is really cute. It's a boombox. Thank you very much. It's so cute, and it's like Loophole. I had to include it, guys. It was not. Like I had to put it on the top 10 because the pink lemonade, Trolls ice cream with glitter and sprinkles is the greatest thing ever. And I'm really upset that it's probably not going to be open during HHN because it is that good. And the stand is very cute. Like I said, it's a boombox. It's colorful. It's yellow. It's really cool. It's always really cold when I walk up to it. I wonder why. Um, and then number 6. This also is probably not a surprise. HHN icons captured from HHN 30. This is another one where I would literally saw off all of my limbs and shave my head to have this house back. Like, I love this house so much. This was like the first house I got like comfortable with HHN. And like it was one of the first ones I looked up in and like interacted with them in. And it was just so fun. I love like the caretaker. The Vine Spot icons, like, come on. And like that music when he walked in, like, you know. And oh, it was just the best, except for the storyteller. She scared me. Not the first one, the one that was like hiding in that little hole in the wall. I never looked at her. Um, But this house, the vibes were so good. The last night I went on the last night of HHN 30, I went through that house 3 different times. And the last time I was crying already because I just gotten scared really bad by a chainsaw. And I walk in and the first usher that's punching the guy was bawling his eyes out. So I started bawling my eyes out. And it was just like, it was so good. It was so good. And I'll never forget the joy of like getting an icon on the throne that I hadn't got. Like when I first got Chance on the throne, my Christian Nixon, hey Christian, we both died. We screamed. It's just like, there's a lot of HHN. Actually, that was the last HHN 30 item on here. But it's just like, it's iconic. What can I say? The Icon's house is iconic, and I really need them to bring it back or do something with the icon, all of them again, because I need all of the besties back. I need them back really bad.
It was so good.
It was.
HHN 30 was Case Files too, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was, first of all, that was a great year. Like there were so many good
Could
houses
you
that
imagine
year.
it without the COVID
Oh.
restrictions?
It would have been just insanely. I wish they would just do it again. I know they're not going to, but I wish they would without the
And
restrictions.
they have
But
no ideas come next year because Epic Universe is taking all the resources. I mean, redo.
Do it
We get rid of
again.
Crypt TV and
Wait,
do
I didn't
everything
even
else.
think about with Epic opening next year too.
I know.
I don't think
it's
they'd
gonna
ever
be
do
crazy.
10 houses again, but I would love it as a fan.
What
That
do
was
you
the
mean
best
they're
year for
not gonna
houses.
do 10 houses once Epic is
No,
open?
no, they won't redo those 10
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
They'll redo like 1 or 2 houses, but they'll never do 10.
They're
No.
going down to 5 next year. You heard it here first. I'm just kidding.
Just what I
No,
heard.
but just what I heard. But that house is, listen, okay.
That's
I don't want
history.
to do any spoilers. Bella has said more haunted houses than I have on my list.
Same.
And
There's
and
still
first
more
of
to
all,
come.
I know there is, because I know there's at least one more. But I'm so proud of you, first of all. I love that for you. But also the only reason that I limited myself is I was like, this is gonna be 10 haunted houses if I don't, because so I'm like, I'm feeling like a fraud that I don't have more. But I will say this probably should have been an honorable mention too, because this was the house where my husband like really got to see my love of HHN. Like he liked it, but only because it was like watching me like wave to and interact with the characters. It was just like, it was so much fun. So, oh, I love how much HHN love your list is getting.
I
I know.
love HHN.
I'm like looking at both of y'all's lists so far and being like, this is like both like exactly you, but like I kind of figured Bella was going to have primarily entertainment. That was just my guess. But like what great entertainment it is, man. And mostly from haunts, which I love. If y'all don't remember, in 2021, this woman here bought the ultimate frequent fear pass, and she had never been to Halloween Horror Nights once. That's why I asked her to be on, also because she's a
It
wonderful
wasn't
person
the
and my
ultimate
friend.
pass. Thank you very much. It was frequent fear plus.
Oh, okay. Still.
Not Rush of Fear, not a single ticket. No. I said, well, if I love it, great. If not, I'm out $250. Like we live and we
So
learn.
funny.
And here we
Also,
are.
if some of y'all who are listening are like, Charles ice cream stand? Come on. That is all she's been talking about for the past like
It's so
month.
good. God, it's so good. You have to believe me. It's so good.
You saw my face before she said this. I knew it was coming.
I didn't,
It's
but it
so
makes so much
good.
sense.
I was like, oh, it's not pizza fries. It's the Charles ice cream. That's why she asked that question.
It's so good. It's so good. It brings tears to my eyes. It's so good. And like, you've had it, right? Have both of you?
We were gonna do it on our Universal Day, but plans had to change.
Oh yeah, that's
Yes.
true.
I need to. We still need to have a Universal Day, but
We
we're
do.
gonna do that. We have had Universal Days. We need another one.
Mhm.
It is so delicious. It's like I can't even like describe it. It's so good. It's so
Wait.
good.
Bella, I don't think you'll be there yet, but Adam, we could get it before Halloween Horror Nights on opening day.
This
Or we
is
could get it
true.
with Bella the next day or whatever. But
This is also
opening
true.
weekend.
I support.
Opening weekend. All right.
You're both
So-
gonna be there this weekend. Get it this weekend.
Wait, you're so right. I'll get it tomorrow. Or Saturday, I mean.
Oh my god.
You're right. I forgot I was going. Okay, anyway. So I'll continue us on. We're doing 5, 4, and 3. So my number 5, this is something that I think is one of the best things in this park. I love it so much. I do it every time I'm there. It is my favorite show. And Adam, you should know me better than this. Obviously, it's on my list and I like it more than you. It's the horror makeup show. You were like, I'm surprised this isn't on your list. I'm like, because it's higher. So my number 5 is the horror makeup show. I love the horror makeup show. I forced my family, multiple family members at different times who hate horror to go see this show with me because it's not, if you have not done it, it's not a scary show. If you don't like horror, you can still enjoy the show. It's so funny. It's so much fun. And the hosts are always amazing and they use unisex names like a lot of Universal shows do. So you could have male hosts, you could have a male and a female, you could have non-binary hosts. There are all kinds of options because it's just unisex names. And there's a few actors that I would say I've seen more often than others and I adore them, but it's just like fun to say like, well, who's gonna be my host today? And who's gonna, and it's a great time. There's audience interaction, one of which where they prey on a person who like looks like they don't want to be there. And it's always fantastic. So it's just like, as much as I wish I could be up on that stage, it will never be me. They know who I am. So I love that show. It's one of my favorite things to do, and I'll probably do this at least once opening weekend, is to get to Universal early on a Halloween Horror Nights day, go see that show, and then go into my holding zone for Stay and Scream. So, like, even I've had people pay for the Scream early, where you can get in at like 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock or whatever. I think it's 3 o'clock. To get into a holding zone, and I've made them go do that with me with one of the last shows of the night. So highly recommend if you've never done it. It's great. Like Adam said, my favorite show. Is it the best show? Probably not, but it's here. Number 4 is the only haunted house I have on this list. So my co-hosts and anyone who regularly listens to the show, I've already spoiled what it is. Adam's already writing. It's Slaughter Cinema. This could change. The new one, Slaughter Cinema 2, looks incredible. And that could be my number 1 soon. We'll have to see. I don't know. I'm doing an Unmasking the Horror tour on Sunday. So that'll give me a sneak preview because that's on my tour. Maybe it'll become my favorite. But as of now, Slaughter Cinema is my favorite haunted house. Like I said, there's a lot of haunted houses that could have been on this list, but I tried to force myself to do some variety. I already had to narrow it down to just 4 rides, which is insane. So Slaughter Cinema, I've probably talked about this house so much already on both this podcast and other haunt podcasts I've been on. But the first time I went in this house, let's see, I had been consistently going to HHN for a couple years, but I think this was either my first or second year having a frequent fear pass. So it was still this was 2018. It was pretty early on to my like HHN obsession, but this is the year that I remember, like, I think this was my first year with a frequent fear because it was the year I really fell in love with Horror Nights. Like, if you were to ask me, HHN 28 would be my favorite year. That's why Twisted Traditions was in the honorable mentions. That was this year as well. Everything about this year, the 80s vibes and all the zones and houses were just incredible. But this house in particular, I went through the most. I even liked the queue because the queue made it look like you were in a drive-in and it was like playing silly little like clips that were supposed to be trailers of all the, like, I don't know if it was all of them, but a lot of the movies in the house. And if you've not heard me talk about this house, essentially the plot was that you're going into key scenes from fake B horror films that Universal made up. So like you walk in and the the voice actor for introducing them is the usher. He's done other things at Universal, iconic things. Adam probably could tell you. I can't remember, but
Such as the horror makeup show and Poseidon's Fury. And
yes.
the Doctor Braingood maze or escape game at the Bureau.
Yes, thank you. You're right. Horror makeup. I should see. I knew that. My brain today. But um basically he was introducing all of the movies and giving like a little like snippet about them as you walk in. So it's like you're in like a all black little not even hallway like corner, and it'll have the big movie poster, so you have an idea of what you're walking into, and then you walk into some big scene from that, and it's just the most fun. It is incredible. Pumpkin guts and Amazon cannibals from Planet Hell. This was the start of the Yeti phenomenon, as well, with the end with the swamp apes, and it was just incredible. I don't even know what my favorite scene is, don't ask me. But it's just, I wish I could have done Unmasking the Horror. I don't think I really knew about it back then, but I'm excited to be able to kind of do that for the sequel, which I have been begging for years, and you're welcome. That is why we have it. And I'm just kidding. It's not just me, but I have filled out every single Halloween Horror Nights survey since 2018 that is sent to my email inbox, and I have asked for it every year. They're like, what do you think we should do? And I'm like, Slaughter Cinema, you said you had more ideas. Give me them. So there's that. And then number 3 is is a ride that I just love so much. If I am in this park, I will ride it multiple times in a day because I can't go on it that much because it's not in Florida. And you could say that it's an extinct attraction, but I don't know if I went on it here. It is Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. That ride is now my entire personality. I have been so excited to go on that since I learned about it, because that one, if you're not familiar with the plot, it is like a dark ride, but like a, I don't know, like a kid's ride. But obviously all the dark rides at Disney are made that adults can ride it too. So it's not really a kid's ride, but it's like if you've been on Peter Pan, it's like that, where it's slow moving and just like, anyone can ride it. It's wild. You're driving a car. There's like a little like steering wheel. You're not actually driving though. Like it doesn't do anything, but like it feels like you are. I like to sit on that seat specifically because I want to pretend I'm driving, and I try to move the steering wheel like the way that the track is going, which makes it more fun for me. But you're a toad. I don't know. It's unclear. Am I the toad or or am I following the toad? I don't know. But you're in his little jalopy or whatever it's called, and you're driving around, crashing into things, crashing into a bar, getting drunk, and then getting arrested for drunk driving. I'm pretty sure you kill people, like, and then you go to hell, and that's the ride. And it's iconic. The hell scene is so fun and silly. There's these tiny little devils with pitchforks. It's just so like me. Like at first I loved it unironically, and now I love it full send. It's the best. So every time I go to California, I like every day that we went, I think we were there for we went 4 days technically because we did the Halloween party, but the Halloween party was in the other park. It was in California Adventure. So I guess we had 3 days where we went to Disneyland at some point, and I think I rode that ride like 6 times or more. It might have been 8. I went on it a lot because the line was not that long. It was always like 10 minutes. So I took a picture of it. They had during last year's, I think it was during Halloween, they had like a big like photo opportunity thing over by where Stitch's Great Escape was. That is not on my list. Spoiler. That ride sucks. Anyway, rest in peace. But they had like a little like photo frame there where you could like take a photo, and I like ran in there and had my husband take a photo of me, and it looked like I was driving the little car. So Yeah, that's my number 3.
I
And that's
can't
it.
wait to go to Disneyland in January and ride Mr.
It's the best. It's
wait.
truly a wild ride.
I can't wait.
Ride it multiple times for me.
I will.
So good.
I will.
Yeah, I guess you did like Horror Makeup Show better.
I love that show so much.
Right on. Well, I guess I'll go on with my 5 through 3. Number 5, which, well, your list still goes on. This might be on there, but maybe it's not. My number 5 is another one of these, what I would call a transcendent attraction. That's also at Epcot. Living with the Land. I love Living with the Land. Somehow it blends perfectly dark ride, education, and a powerful essay about our role living with the land. It's hard to argue it's not the best way to spend the day at Epcot, and because it's just it is the best I had to check my list to make sure I wasn't lying. It is the best thing at Epcot, in my opinion. There's some good things there, but there's nothing like Living with the Land. That is a relaxing boat ride, but also I'm like emotionally and intellectually and all of that stimulated. I did front row on this. Not like that's a big deal, but I'm like, ooh, I'm front row on Living with the Land. I feel so special. Because I don't know. I it's hard to like really put into words what's so great about it. You just have to experience it and do it, and it's just wonderful. You see real greenhouse, you see all the things that they're actually doing. There's some great dark ride scenes at the beginning. Um, it's just a great time. And it doesn't usually garner long waits, so kind of it might be the Mr. Toad effect too, where it's like I've done it a lot more because no one's waiting for it usually, unless it's Christmas, then it's like a 45-minute wait. But she deserves it. She deserves it. Um, yeah, no, it's just great. It's funny that I was so passionate about my number 8, and I'm also passionate about these, but they are not being expressed in words. Yeah, no, it's just great. It's just great. Number 4. Some might be surprised this one is not higher because it changed the way I saw what a theme park ride could be. This classic horror from the 70s at Disney's Magic Kingdom Park, the Haunted Mansion. I love the Haunted Mansion. I grew up a Universal kid. You thought it was gonna be my number 1? Interesting. Oh, no. There's one much better. But like barely. I'll get into that later. Uh, yeah, Haunted Mansion. I grew up a Universal kid, and we went to Disney a little bit, did Disney Quest a lot more. But did a lot of Universal right after Back to the Future closed, but before Harry Potter started, and got used to the kind of rides that a Universal would do. These demonstrations of special effects, like Disaster or Jaws or Twister, or these exciting screen-based rides that we know so well, or these hardcore thrill attractions like the Hulk and Dueling Dragons and everything. And these are all great rides. I love many of these to this day. All of these to this day. But then around the time I went into high school, started to go to Disney a little bit more. And one of the things I was excited to do for the first time was the Haunted Mansion. And I did that in Pirates of the Caribbean. Just blew my mind with their practical stuff. And this isn't like a debate of, oh, practical versus digital. Because I love the digital stuff, as you'll see. But with Haunted Mansion, it's the gags. It's these classic gags that still impress me when I know how they work, except for the hitchhikers. Those, yeah. And they're just so great. The Pepper's ghost effect of that ballroom, or just I know Leota's on strings. She's still freaking amazing. There's that slow build to bigger and better spectacle and just the best vibe. I mean, Hatbox kind of broke it a little bit here in the Magic Kingdom, as they say, but still there is that slow build, and like each scene gets bigger. I remember we get out of the attic and we turn around and we're falling out of the slowly out of the attic, and we enter the graveyard. And when I saw all those ghosts flying, it blew my mind. I did not know that was something that I could witness ever. And there it was. And I know what the effect is. It's just a giant scrim, and they're projecting ghosts on it, but just with the lighting and just the simplicity of it. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna burn an attraction real fast. Star Wars Rise of the Resistance is an incredible attraction. Many would say it's the best ride ever, and I think they've got a point. But that ride, like Haunted Mansion, it's very much Haunted Mansion for the 21st century. Um, that because it is a ride based on magic tricks, all these different effects, but the effects are so complicated they can't maintain, and therefore it loses some of its magic because there's so many illusions and magic tricks and gags and effects in the Haunted Mansion, and they are all simple, but they all work, and they're enhanced by the music. Oh my gosh, Grim Grinning Ghosts, the Otherworldly Concerto, wonderful stuff that is, I mean, 50 years later, still holds up, still thrills my heart, my horror loving heart. Um, and they're all maintained. They all work, except for the hitchhikers. That's, things change. But everything else in there, I just love being in that space. And there, I mean, I have to give it credit for blowing my mind of what a theme park ride could be. I wonder if it's lower because of the movie being so bad. Or I just love the other three on here more, but this list would not be right without having Haunted Mansion on here. It's incredible. It's incredible. If you've never done the Haunted Mansion, what are you doing? Go. If it's 35 minutes or less, so worth it. I mean, if it's an hour, it's really worth it. If you've never done it, yeah. But like a 35-minute wait time or lower, beautiful. 13 minutes. Oh, so good. Yeah, love me the Haunted Mansion. And my number 3 is a roller coaster. It is my favorite roller coaster of all time. And yeah, it's Manta at SeaWorld Orlando. Manta at SeaWorld Orlando is the only thing at SeaWorld Orlando that's like, should I get a pass so I can ride my favorite roller coaster all the time? But SeaWorld Orlando is just not a fun park to be in. So I don't go to SeaWorld Orlando all that often. So when I do go and I ride Manta, it's a very special time. We've talked about on this podcast, and we talked about in this episode, storytelling and roller coasters. And Manta doesn't have a plot. There's no plot here. But what I love about this era of SeaWorld and Busch Gardens is, and this was like, oh, not like from like 2004 to shortly after, probably to like Ashikra, no, from 2004 to like Antarctica, there's this period where every ride they went into was about enhancing your connection to animals and enhancing your connection to the nature that they're trying to present and appreciate at these parks. And rides like this and Cheetah Hunt, I think, do a really good job of putting you in that perspective. And Manta, I think, really gives you the flying feeling, but really the swimming feeling of like being a manta ray. And there's that awesome, like when you glide over the water, it's such a great time. I've said it before and I've said it again. This ride is transcendent. It's intense. It's intense without being scary for me. I mean, I know a lot of people that lift hill, they want to not be on it because you are face down and that's the only thing between you and the ground is that harness. But smooth as butter without being intense. It feels like flying without being terrifying. And it tells that story of a Manta experience, down to that original score going up, and even the most intense elements like the pretzel roll or the corkscrew. Like, I think that just is like, puts me on another plane of existence. I love a good flying coaster. I hate Superman Ultimate Flight at Six Flags Over Georgia because it is too intense. But like this and Nighthawk are like excellent. Nighthawk is at Carowinds, but Manta's just the best of them. I wish there were more flying coasters out there, like local, that I can do. But Manta is definitely the best one of them. And it is my favorite roller coaster. I mean, what more can I say about it? It's just phenomenal. It's fantastic. Not as many people love it as much as I do, I don't think, but it's so worth it. It's so good. It's my number 3. It's my number 3 of all time. Favorite roller coaster of all time. Heck yeah.
I actually love that ride so much. I go back and forth between that and Mako being my favorite at that park. Both of them would probably be in my top 10 coasters. I haven't really sat and thought it out, and I haven't been to enough places out of state where they have a lot more roller coasters either. But they're great coasters, and I love Manta. And the main reason, honestly, is that the G-force in that first like loop, like when you're like you really feel it during that, and it's just so much fun. I look forward to it every time I'm at SeaWorld. That's a great ride and a great choice.
I did not expect you to have SeaWorld in your list at all.
I wouldn't if it weren't for Manta. Manta's just that good. You should do it. You'd love it.
No.
Yeah. After you Velocicoaster, go on Manta.
No. No, I'm not doing anything where I have to be face down and I'm going fast. No. No.
Well, you also look up sometimes. It's times that like you're standing on air.
No. No. Same with Pipeline.
You're like
No.
Wile E. Coyote or Scooby-Doo running on air.
No. That's a good top 3. I love how you said that that's your only reason to go to SeaWorld and that there's nothing really that would get you to have a pass at SeaWorld. Because I have a couple in my 5 to 3. Couple reasons why to go. My number 5 is not SeaWorld, actually. It's the Spider-Man ride at Island of Adventure. I love the Spider-Man ride. And I feel like I've described every one of my top 10 as if it's my number 1. But I love the Spider-Man ride. There was one day during COVID where I rode it 10 times in a row. I love this ride. I love it even more when all the effects are working, like the fire. I just rode it with my friend a couple of months ago, and when the fire went off, we both screamed in each other's faces. Like, I love the Spider-Man ride. It's just so fun. I'll never forget riding it for the first time and just like losing my mind. And then like going home and just like watching videos of it all the time. Like, I love it. My number 1 dream is to ride it with the lights on because I love watching to the sides because I like seeing how we're moving and stuff. I just like I love that ride. I love the Spider-Man ride. And this, if they ever take it away, I'm chaining myself to the top, like the Spider-Man at the front of the building. Like, I'm sorry, you're not getting rid of it. Like, you can't. You legally are not allowed. Like, if they get rid of Marvel Superhero Island at any point in the future, like at any point, they can't get rid of Spider-Man. He has to stay. I just like, I love it, and also keep the pretzel stand next to it. I love Auntie Anne's pretzels as well. But my number 4 is a fun reason to get a pass at SeaWorld, which would be the Sesame Street Party Parade. And because I couldn't say Sesame Street Land, I love the Sesame Street Party Parade. I love every version, standard, birthday, Halloween, and Christmas. Christmas is my favorite, though. I bawl my eyes out every time. As Adam and Kelley witnessed, I love that during Christmas. I just love it. But the Sesame Street Party Parade, it's just like big fun, good times, as they say in the parade. It's just like all of your favorite Sesame Street characters are there, and you got Pitbull in the music loop, and it's just like I don't know, like my heart is just like, and it got me to shoot like parades again. So that was nice. I feel like there's like everyone who knows me like knows how much I love Sesame and the Sesame Street Party Parade. So I feel like there's not really anything to say about it that I haven't said already. So y'all know. And then, okay, as I'm looking at my 3 and my number 2, I'm really debating on if I want to switch them. I should I switch them? Should I do it? Actually, I'm gonna switch them. My number 3 is Elmo Rocks at SeaWorld Orlando. I loved Elmo Rocks. And I'm still really bitter that they never brought it back. They did it for 2 years, and it wasn't enough. All I would do at SeaWorld was loop that show. I'd be at every show in the front row, in VIP, front and center, at the lip of that stage, in Bella Spot, which I unofficially trademarked. I didn't, but when I type it out, I put the TM emoji, you know. I just like, I loved Elmo Rocks. It got me like like I said with the party parade, it got me back shooting parades, but this really got me back shooting shows, and I got more comfortable with shooting, and this is where I saw a lot of growth and change. Like my friend Jules one day, just like, because I taught myself photography and no one would ever help me. And Jules one day, Elmo Rocks kind of sat down with me and like went through everything, changed all my settings, helped me figure stuff out. And it just like my photography has changed from then. If you look at my page, you can see the distinct difference. Um, so and it was just like the best show. I think the first summer I saw it like 70 something times. Like I loved Elmo Rocks. I still have confetti from it in my room. Um, yeah, that was my number 3. We're down to the top 2, everybody. We're down to the top 2.
Also, I don't know if we want to do this as a Patreon thing or if we want to do it quickly in the episode. I would love to hear what y'all are shocked is not on each other's lists as well. Because I have some for y'all if it's not in your top 2, and I don't think it would be in your top 2.
I don't think I have any for y'all. Everything on your list has made sense.
Well,
I'm gonna be honest. Before you said Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, I thought I knew for sure your top 3, and now I have no idea. And you made a face during Bella's that I'm like, oh no, is that even on there? It has to be. I don't know.
okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I
So
thought you were gonna
this
say
is a
Spider-Man.
This is a great segue, you guys. I have to make an amendment to my list.
Really?
I'm murdering Cowfish back to the honorable mention. My number 3 is Spider-Man.
I knew that was gonna be on there at some point.
Okay, here's the thing. It's actually probably number 2. Number 3 and number 2 are really hard because one of them is something I do every time I'm in one Universal Park, and the other one is something I do every time I'm in the other Universal Park. So 3 and 2 are kind of like
I get you.
Okay, here's some context for the viewers / listeners. I'm starting law school in a couple days. My brain has not been in my head. I forgot about Spider-Man because it's been too long since I've been
How do
on
you
it.
forget about Spider-Man?
I don't know. I
Such
love
a
that
long
ride.
Twitter chat about it.
I love that ride so much. It's in I can quote the entire thing. My favorite line is, "You're not insured for this," because I used to be an insurance agent. I love the whole thing so much. I don't know how I almost put the Spider-Man meet and greet. I don't have any meet and greets in my top 10, but I almost put that like in my honorable mentions, and I don't have the ride. So my bad. We're gonna say it's number 3. It's probably number 2, but these two could change like by the day. So for listening purposes, so that I'm not a cheater, it's number 3. Sorry, Cowfish, you're dead to me, and by that I mean you're an honorable mention now.
So everything has moved down, kicked Cowfish out, and then Spider-Man went where Toad was, and Toad's number 4, so on and so forth.
Yes.
Right
yes,
on.
I'm sorry, Adam, for your list that you're writing.
Oh no, this list that I'm making is just so I know what pictures to grab later.
Ooh, yeah, because number 10 is now the Hocus Pocus Villain Spectacular. So everything moved down, and we're saying Spider-Man's 3, but like Bella's 3 and 2, it could swap. But I have a fun story for my number 2.
Incredible.
So my number 2 was, and I had not completed my list yet when this happened, but it was originally stuck immediately to honorable mention. It was immediately put to honorable mention because I was like, you know, it's a ride. I guess attraction can be more things. It's a ride. And I was like, I'm only putting a couple rides on this list. I don't, there's so many rides. I don't think this one's going to make the cut. And here it is at number 2. So here we are with that. But I went to Universal a couple times, Universal Studios, and I rode this ride every single time. And Bella knows what it is. And I was like, and I rode it multiple times. Like I went on it over and over again. I went to Universal the other day. I was meeting a friend at City Walk for Friends, and that wasn't a sentence. I was meeting friends at City Walk for drinks. Got it. And that was all I was doing. But I wanted to see the Horror Nights construction, so I went and looked around at that, and then I rode this ride 3 times. And then I thought about it and I'm like, every single time I've been to Universal, I've been on this ride. Everyone knows what it is now. It's Men in Black Alien Attack.
I can't believe it took this long for someone to mention it.
I know.
I know.
It's
I was
because
thinking
it's
about
so
that.
good.
I was thinking about that.
So it's my number 2. And there's a lot of reasons for that. First of all, nostalgia. My dad is really good at shooting games, so I was never able to beat him as a kid. I probably still can't, because even though he hasn't been on that ride in a while, he probably would still kick my butt. But it was just like, it's just so fun. I love that you go from the training room into like, oh, we're actually in Manhattan and there's aliens everywhere. It's campy. Steven Spielberg's in it. If you haven't seen that, look for him. He's hidden. And like, it's just such a fun time. And one of the times I went recently, I went with some people from I think it's called the 900 Club. It's the club where you like max out frequently. And so I got to ride over and over again with people that are in that club. And they were like, come with me and I'll show you. And she spent the whole ride. She got a score of 0, which she said she's never done before, because the whole time she was just yelling at me from behind me, because we did single rider, what things to hit that would have the highest points. So learning that has been a blast. And then for those of you who don't know, last year, opening weekend of Halloween Horror Nights, we got to meet Dave Cobb, who was the creative director, I think that's the right title, right? Of the ride. And just, we learned so much. The experience of riding that with him and with y'all, and just learning like different tips and tricks. Like, it's easier to shoot things that are far away because of the infrared technology that they use, and just like little details of the ride that I've never noticed before, that don't even have to do with getting points. All of the love from the team members and like the creative team and everything that put it together is just, it's just so amazing. And his voice is at the end if you get a suit. And I couldn't remember the last time I got a suit, because I am not very good at it, to be honest. I've gotten better, and I've gotten a suit a few times now, but that was the first time I remembered getting a suit. And to be there with him and hear his voice while he's speaking it next to us, and like, you know, now he's a friend of ours, and it's just like the coolest thing ever. So between that experience and nostalgia and the fact that I just ride it every time I go, and I didn't even like think twice about it, it's just natural for me. So it has to be my number 2. I love it so much. So Men in Black and Spider-Man, even though I forgot about it, are very similar on my list, because it's like, if I was doing one thing in that park, that would be what it is. If I was doing 2 things in studios, it's that and Horror Makeup Show. But, you know, if I can't make it all the way to the back of the park because I don't have enough time, it's Horror Makeup Show. But that is like, just, I love that ride. And it's one of those things that there's only so many rides. Like, there's other rides that I love very much, that I probably couldn't just ride over and over again. My number 1 I could, but like, oh, it's a ride, spoiler alert. But that one I could. Y'all might already know what my number 1 is, but I'm gonna tell you anyway. This ride is just, it means a lot to me, because it is, oh man, I might start crying. It is so much of who I am, in that this ride is like, it's basically my personality, like in a ride, which I'm trying not to give it away too early. But it's, okay. I really struggled with this. Will give it away to the co-host. I couldn't figure out what version of this ride that I wanted to put as my number 1. And I decided it's going to be the one that's based on one of my number 1 movies of all time. And that is Haunted Mansion Holiday. Yes, see, Adam was already writing it down, in Disneyland. It's funny because Disney's California Adventure is my favorite park over there, but Disneyland has my 2 favorite rides. So which one's actually my favorite park? And it's hard to pick between Haunted Mansion Holiday and Florida's Haunted Mansion, because like, they're very different. And obviously it's hard because we don't have Haunted Mansion Holiday here. So I've been on it again. I went on it somewhere between like 6 and 8 times. I went on it a lot. Actually maybe less than Toads because it had a longer wait, but I went on it several times each day that I was there. And it's hard to say that it's my favorite because Haunted Mansion is so much of who I am, and I quote that one all the time. I didn't want to put them both in because like they're different rides, but it's also it's kind of the same ride. So I picked this one, and maybe it's because it's a recency. I guess it's not recency bias because technically I've been on Haunted Mansion since then, but it's like a newer thing, whereas I've been on Haunted Mansion since I was a kid. But it's like interesting because it's the same narrator, I believe. If not, they sound exactly the same, but I'm almost positive it's the same narrator as Haunted Mansion. And so there's the elements of like nostalgia and something familiar, but it's also something new and it's something seasonal and limited, and it's even more limited because I have to travel for it and I can only go to California. I can't go every year, so it's going to be every, few years or whatever it is. But this is the ride that is the reason that I may never go to California outside of like August to January. Which is unfortunate because my anniversary with my husband is in February. And I really want to go to Sweetheart Nights, but it's going to be hard pressed for me to go to California when my favorite ride's not there. I just love it so much. The practical effects I think are particularly impressive in this version of the ride. Because like the giant, like, I don't know if it's a snake, sandworm, the orange thing that's in Nightmare Before Christmas is like there's a really cool room where he like takes up the entire room and you get all right up and personal in his face. The Hatbox Ghost is still there, and that's the first time again that I've seen the Hatbox Ghost that I can remember. I think it was in Florida for a while. I don't remember how long. I don't know the history on that, but like my first time seeing the Hatbox Ghost was in California, and I remember being so impressed by that effect. I think it's really cool. I also like the location there better. Sorry, Florida. And it's like more up in your face there as well, but it's like the ending scene. I love the ballroom scene in the traditional version of Haunted Mansion, but the finale scene is my favorite. And the finale scene, before you get to the hitchhiking ghost, I don't care about that. But like the finale where everyone's like partying out in the graveyard, that's my favorite. And that scene in Haunted Mansion Holiday is the coolest thing ever. And there are these giant like angel pumpkins that are just like they take up the entire room, and they're so cool. There's like 3 or 4 of them, and like everything in that room, Jack and Sally like talk to you and are there, and it's just even the ending scene is better than the hitchhiking ghosts. Like they do like a silly thing where Oogie Boogie gives you like a present, and it's just so cute. I love everything about that ride. I wanted to live on it. It's so much fun. I could talk about it for hours, but it's just I was scrolling through TikTok the other day and somebody was about to go on it, and I never usually watch lives of people going on rides at Disney because I'm like, whatever. Even Disneyland, I'm like, whatever, I'm not there. But that one I watched the whole thing for that part because I miss it so much and I wish I was there. The music in the queue probably gets repetitive if you're in the line too long, but I love it. It's beautiful. The narration's fantastic. Again, it's that classic narrator. So I love the Haunted Mansion, but Haunted Mansion Holiday is my number one. I love it. I'm still the ghost in those halls because I wish I was still there. And now I wish I could just book a trip to California out of the blue right now and be there for this holiday season because I wish we had this here. They have reasons, whatever, but they should put it here.
Hard agree.
I haven't been on it, but hard agree.
I'm hoping
And
my trip in January lines up with Haunted Mansion Holiday. I
fingers
don't know if
crossed.
it will, but I hope.
That would be
Maybe.
amazing.
I see. I figured Haunted Mansion would make it on your list. I'm like, she's not mentioning Haunted Mansion. She's not hinting at it. And I forgot about Holiday, but I forgot about that episode like 22, 23, something like
Think
that. Go
so.
back and listen.
Oh,
Yeah, I forgot how much you love that ride, and totally, yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And I feel like a jerk for not including Men in Black in my honorable mentions.
No, same. Like
I'm
30
shocked
minutes
that no one
ago.
said it.
Like
I was
30
like,
minutes
wow.
ago, I was like, oh no.
I like mentioned it offhand. I mentioned it offhand when I talked about horror makeup. I said there's so many great rides like Mummy and Men in Black, and Dave Cobb, we love you.
We love you, Dave Cobb.
It is
I
a
sent
fantastic ride, so it
It
totally makes
is.
sense
It's
that
in
it's so
my
high.
honorable mentions now. That's another one
It's
that
my 13th.
like not even thinking about it until you said something.
I know. I sent him a voice memo telling the story that I just told. I was like, we're working on this podcast and I had to tell you really quick this story. And it's just like I feel like that's it, right? Is like I was like, oh, there's so many rides like it at Disney and Universal. There's new rides, there's whatever, like ones that are extinct and all these things. And I was like, I don't know, like would it make my top, 4, 5? And I guess there's 5 on my list now. Whoops. And it does, because it's one of those ones that maybe like, you don't think of because you're like, oh, Velocicoaster, Hagrid's, and like all those like, the top billing like newer rides and stuff like that. But then you think about like how much you think about it regularly and how much you love it and quote it and ride it. And I was like, yeah, like this is so much a part of me. I have to include it. And it is my favorite ride in studios. And I would murder anyone who that's not true. I would be really upset if anyone took that ride away. For legal reasons, I would not do anything to physically harm them, but I
For
would
legal reasons. Miss
but
Lawyer.
I
Miss
would
Law
chain
School.
myself to Babs.
Miss Law School.
Babs.
Babs. Babs. Babs.
And I
Babs.
mean, the
Babs.
bathroom,
Babs.
too. It's a fantastic
Yeah.
ride bathroom.
Fantastic. I put it on my Instagram story for people to guess the other day.
I guessed it.
Or our Instagram story.
I guessed it. I guessed it right. Because I was there.
That's a good list. It's a good list. But I guess I'll go now. All
Oh,
right.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I did want to
No,
say
go
really
ahead.
quick, I didn't unmute fast enough. Oh, sorry. But my list is actually, and it still is because I kicked Cowfish for Spider-Man. It's 5 things from Universal and 5 things from Disney, even though 2 of them are Disneyland, interestingly. Technically one of them is an extinct Disney World ride, but that's not what I was talking about. But yeah, 5 Disney, 5 Universal I thought was interesting. Anyway, please continue. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. That's a good thing to call out. My number 2 and my number 1, I adore so deeply. And they're both Universal. I told you, I'm a Universal kid at heart, and I always will be. I'm never going to cancel my pass unless I move to, like, I don't know, Wisconsin or something. Maybe I'll still keep it if I go to. I'm not going to Wisconsin, but if I were, I'd probably still be a Universal pass holder. But there's one event that we all love on here, that will be represented on this list, specifically in my number 2. It is my favorite haunted attraction of all time. It's my favorite haunted house at anywhere, really, especially at Halloween Horror Nights of all time. It is what Kelley was saying with her number 1, with Haunted Mansion and Haunted Mansion Holiday are her personality all in one ride. Universal Monsters, The Bride of Frankenstein Lives is me in a ride attraction. It's an attraction. But my heart rides the waves of love. I don't know. Anyway, my love and appreciation of The Bride of Frankenstein Lives. The Bride of Frankenstein from 1935 is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's my top 10 horror movies of all time. It's a spectacular film. If you've never seen it, I don't think my co-hosts have, you gotta see The Bride of Frankenstein, from 1935, directed by the amazing James Whale, one of the best black and white film directors of all time. He is the reason Universal Monsters is so beloved today. He did Frankenstein 31, Invisible Man 33, and Bride of Frankenstein 35. What a legend. But this maze is a sequel to both the 2019 Universal Monsters maze, which was my very first Halloween Horror Nights experience in 2019, And it's also a sequel to the film. And The Bride of Frankenstein Lives, I think about weekly, like it's a work of art, because it is. The story is a perfect response to the themes of the film. If you watch the film, spoiler alert for the ending, but if you've done the house, you know how it ends. If you've done the 2019 Universal Monsters house, you know how it ends. At the end of the film, Frankenstein's monster is heartbroken that there's not a world for him. And so he flips the switch and he drops this laboratory castle onto him, the bride, and old Dr. Praetorius. But as he does it, he yells to the married couple, says, "Go, you live." But he declares for himself and the bride and Praetorius, "You stay, we belong dead." And in the maze, the Bride of Frankenstein Lives, the bride survives and tries to resurrect the monster for the entirety of the attraction. And the attraction is so great because it's not the scariest maze by any means. I mean, Graveyard Games, Darkest Steel, there's several that I can list off that are far scarier at Halloween Horror Nights history. But the storytelling in this maze is so good. And there's original characters like the assistant. "You mustn't disturb the master." Like, she is like one of the greatest Horror Nights characters, like up there with, she should be an icon, let's be real. I hope she comes back for Eternal Bloodlines. My heart will soar on the eagle's nest. um uh but that this whole attraction is about, it's a response to that line. And at the very end of the maze, the monster, or sorry, the Bride of Frankenstein, she resurrects the monster and says, "You belong alive." And I think a lot of people, when they think about haunted houses, they think blood, guts, death. And while those are major themes, I think, gosh, who would have thought that a theme park attraction, much less a haunted house, could be so freaking life affirming? It is one of the most powerful stories I've experienced in a theme park attraction, um, because of these themes. And I mean, heck, when you think about it, and I'm probably going to make a video essay or a podcast essay. When I talk about the response to the themes of the film, I think something that's really powerful about it is, for the Bride of Frankenstein movie, is a very queer piece. The director is openly queer. There's a lot of queer imagery and everything like that. But the ending is, "You belong dead." And in the maze, it's definitely carrying all these themes and stuff, but the response is, "You belong alive." And I think that's so powerful. And we've talked about how horror is queer, how art is queer, and how HHN, and especially last year, is heckin' queer. So I love that that is a powerful story that's told through the greatest of monsters, the Bride of Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster. But it's also got these spooky scenes. Like, there's the Bride of Dracula who like flies on a bungee, and it's one of the most intense and awesome bungee effects I've ever seen. I think the most that I've ever seen at HHN, with the fog and the flashing and the like, it's so good. Even with the COVID restrictions that lasted for the 2 years it was around, it is still my second favorite attraction of all time. So I'm so glad to see the story continue this year at HHN 33. Um, yeah, I do think about it as art, because it is art. Not only as a haunted house art, it's fantastic storytelling. You don't get this all the time. You don't get this in movies all the time, much less 5 minutes of scary walkthrough. The music's great. It's got some Nine Inch Nails in there. The spectacle is huge, and the most beautiful sets. I watched the video back a lot as I was making my list, just to be like, is this really up here? And I knew it was up here, but is it, like, where is it on here? And they're just the most gorgeous sets. They have, the lighting was so good, because it kind of, people said, kind of looked black and white, and that's kind of true. It's like dark, but all of these things. Um, there's the coffin scare that I think is timeless, especially because everything had the COVID plexiglass, and there was one real monster in it. There's the spectacle, because it's the only Universal Monsters house in a soundstage. I guess they could have, I mean, they've done some great stuff in the parade warehouses, and I'm sure they'll do some great stuff in the tent this year. But to walk into that opening scene, you see the opening of the end of the Bride of Frankenstein movie through these crumbling rocks the tower falling, and then you turn the corner, and it smells like fire. There's fog everywhere. The Bride of Frankenstein's trying to lift up this um, big slab of wood. I don't know what it's called. There's a proper name for it, but my brain. And that's one of the most incredible things I've walked through in a maze. And I know this is not many people's favorite. There's a few of us on Twitter in the HHN Twitter space who will ride or die for this maze. But I think for most people, this is the worst of the Universal Monsters mazes so far. Because Legends Collide was great. The first one was great. A lot of people rode or died for Unmasked. But for me, it'll always be Bride of Frankenstein Lives. And I'm a Universal Monsters fan, absolutely. But that alone wouldn't make it this high. It's just how powerful and how incredible and how beautiful. I think I already said beautiful, but all the superlatives I could give a ride or an attraction, because this is attractions, not rides. I can say about Universal Monsters, The Bride of Frankenstein Lives. And all of that was just for my number 2. See, I went hard for Impressions de France, but girl, put some Bride of Frankenstein down. Oh, we're living. But my number 1, some of y'all are like, this has got to show up on Adam's list at some point. How could it not? Don't worry, it's my number 1. It is the greatest ride ever made. It is still the lodestar. It is still the standard. The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man at Universal Islands of Adventure. That's right, Bella. That's right, Kelley. We all share one attraction on our top 5 because it is the best. It is the best ride to ever exist. It is it's 25 years old. It's 25 years old, and it has not yet been topped. I still think it is the newest standard for dark rides. Sure, the trackless ride system is very popular right now, somewhat popular. You see it on Rise, you see it on Ratatouille, you see it on Skull Island and Fast and Furious Supercharged. Pooh's Honey Hunt? What's the Haunted Mansion that's not Haunted Mansion? Mystic Manor. Like, great attractions, but it's not really become a standard. The way, like, the Omni Mover, that is like a standard attraction. Type, and you see a lot of rides borrow from that. But the scoop vehicle of Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man, I don't think we've seen the proper evolution of yet. I think we might with Battle at the Ministry when it opens at Epic Universe next year. Because the Kuka hasn't taken off. We thought the Kuka was going to be the next evolution. And we got the roller coaster scoop for Gringotts, but not the standard. I see it show up in Gringotts. I'm like, oh, it's Spider-Man on a roller coaster track. Slay. I ride Transformers. And I'm like, oh, it's Spider-Man, but with less physical sets. Still slay. Love doing it during Horror Nights. But I ain't talking about Transformers. I'm talking about the greatest ride of all time, The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man. Yeah, I mean, I think AID, Avengers Infinity Defense. Thank you, Brooke Edward, for that acronym reveal. I think it's taking after this. Scott Trowbridge, who was one of the head people on this attraction, he's involved with like 3 or 4 Spider-Man rides now because he just set the standard in 1999 with Mark Woodbury and Terry Koo and a lot of other very talented people. That's how influential and how top tier this ride is. So enough about the history of it. What's the experience like? It's never not thrilling. It is mild, not wild necessarily. There's some wild parts, but it's a pretty mild ride. Grandma could do it, right? But it's never not thrilling. It's still thrilling through all of that. I think physical sets and digital effects, they've never interacted better than on The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man. Because you see holes on like Kong, you see holes on Fast and Furious Supercharged, and then you got Transformers, which kind of forgoes a lot of the physical. Like there are physical moments that are just on the screen, like when you run into a barrel, like that should have been physical. But I understand like you probably couldn't pull that off with the way the car's going. Not important. I think the fact that the digital 3D screen, the 3D is incredible, by the way. Like there's not many 3D rides that have as good 3D as this. I know some people ride or die for Jimmy Fallon 3D. No. Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man and like how it had to invent squinching to make the effects so good. And it's also the best squinching effects at the park and any park, really. There's the fire, there's the actual sets, like you are under the actual, not the actual, but you're under a Statue of Liberty fragment. There's all these weather effects. I mean, I already mentioned the Green Goblin's pumpkin bomb, the water, the spinning, the fog. Like, this ride has everything that's fun, and it is also the standard of I think theme park rides of the 21st century. And as Bella said, like, I want a lights on ride. I'm not, I'm not like one of those people who are like, I am entitled to a lights on ride, but I also want to break down on it. I want to walk this ride to escape a certain stall. I almost got there. They turned the lights on because we broke down in one of the last scenes. But they eventually got it going. And by going, I mean, you're kind of moving like this to the crooked and rough to the ending while the sound goes in and out. So it didn't get off then. But one of these days, I read it so much, this the chances, eventually, one time out of 1,000, I got to get evac'd off of this, right? The music is incredible. The new 4K projection is incredible. The interaction is incredible. The motion simulation is incredible. The script is incredible. Like, as Kelley and Bella were saying, we quote these riots all the time, and this is definitely up there. It's one of those attractions I think I'm still noticing details, and then I'll tell you all about it. Like, I didn't know about that. Like, one of my favorite details is like when you're floating up, which how do they achieve? I mean, I know how they achieve that effect, but how do they achieve that effect so well of levitating on a dark ride path that's constantly moving? Like, how do they do it? But like, there's a little projection of like a family and a baby in their apartment building. When you are zapped by the anti-gravity cannon, you look down and, oh, is that green under my seat? It is, because I've been zapped by a green anti-gravity cannon. There's, I don't know
What?
why. Yeah,
The
see?
seats turn green?
There's a light under the seats that flashes green when you're zapped. This is the most incredible ride. There's so many details on it. And I don't know, I mean, I guess budget, but like, I'm surprised not every ride just meets the standard and exceeds it.
How did I not? I rode that ride 10 times in one day one time. How did I not see it?
Well, because you're probably watching all the incredible stuff in front of you and not below you.
That's true.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the continuity in the screens is like unmatched too.
Listening to y'all talking about this, honestly, it might be my number one. I love this ride so much. I can't believe it wasn't even the biggest fumble of all time.
Honestly, I don't know why it's my number 5. It's going higher. Honestly, my 5 to 1, you can move around.
But I've talked long enough, I imagine. Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man. Not only is it the greatest ride of all time, it's my most favorite ride of all time. I guess I don't have the emotional connection to it that I do Universal Monsters, The Bride of Frankenstein Lives, but can you beat Spider-Man? I'm sorry, Bride. You kind of got to take a passenger seat with Spider-Man and kind of share the love. 1999, and it has not yet been surpassed. That is incredible to me. I love it. I love it so much.
It's so good. It's so good.
I want to go on it this weekend after we've talked
Do
about
it.
it so much. I love that ride.
I love
And it's got the best, I gotta talk more about it, best single riders queue, best express queue.
Yes.
One of the best queues, period. Like, okay, if you go into the express line, you get to walk through Peter Parker's photo lab, which is great. There's more Easter eggs in there. I didn't even talk about the queue. My God,
The
it's such a great
extended
queue.
queue.
The extended queue has more storytelling.
The statue.
I mean, I know I talked about
I
Manta.
love the dark room.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about in Manta how like it's storytelling and it's simple and it doesn't really have anything to do with plot. I think we might become a little too accustomed to a good story as a detailed and good plot. And Manta's not that case, but Spider-Man makes a strong case for it. No wonder it was so influential to everything that followed it with the queue and telling the story in the queue. We see that in Mummy. We see that in Harry Potter. All of Harry Potter took it to the next level and made it a whole land and everything. Not that the lands weren't detailed already at Universal Islands of Adventure or any Disney park. Animal Kingdom has fantastic lands as far as detail goes and storytelling goes. But I mean, Bella's right. That outdoor queue, you can hear them talking about like normal people just talking about the reports of what's going on, and you go into the Daily Bugle and you're seeing what's going on, and then we tourists, because J. Jonah Jameson is just that kind of guy, we're whisked away into it, totally unprepared. As Kelley said, we're not insured for this, but hey, I'll wear
Be
my
the
night vision.
scariest night of our
Yeah.
lives.
And yours.
Yours.
And has not been mentioned. I feel like this is an underrated portion of the ride. The music when you get off and into
Yes.
like the gift shop is so
Yes.
good. I think it's still not released on Spotify, and I wish it was.
I knew when you said music, I knew exactly what you were
The
gonna
music
say.
is so good in that
I
area.
always headbang when I get
Me
to that part.
too. I'm like, yeah.
Like,
Hold on, I think I can find the name of the guy who did it. I just tweeted about him the other day because I want to shout him out because it's so good. And if it's not him, then whoever actually did do it, you're awesome. But this guy worked on a lot of the scores at Universal with Terry Koo and all of them. And I'm pretty sure he did this version of Spider-Man. Pete Lehman.
Thank you,
Ooh.
Pete.
Pete is my hero. And how funny is it that my favorite, like, top 3 ride of all time somewhere is a Spider-Man ride, and one of my least favorite rides of all time is a Spider-Man ride. And I love
The
every
duality of
iteration of
man.
Spider-Man.
Cool.
And just, I love Tom Holland. Don't love his
Hey,
ride.
look, there's gonna be another Spider-Man ride out in Avengers Campus Universe at one of them. I think the overseas one. So.
Hong Kong, yeah, both. So Shanghai has the Spider-Man roller coaster, and
And
Hong
then the
Kong
drop
is doing the
tower.
Spider-Man drop tower.
I love. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I need both of this. I love Spider-Man so much
Me
as a
too.
character. Anyway, Bella, I know what one of your top 2 are, but I don't know what the other one is.
Are you sure?
No, I'll probably know once you say it.
I'm like,
Okay.
wait, you do know? And then I'm like, oh yeah, I know.
So, my top 2. They're both at Universal. I'm wearing an HHN shirt from that house's year for my number 2. And I'm sure those watching on YouTube know as well. And I'm sure this is just like common knowledge, but my number 2 is the Stranger Things for Horror Nights house, only because I have not experienced the other ones, but those are also looped in because I've watched them online hundreds of times, especially the first one. What I would give to experience that one. But anyway, I had always, okay. So I first watched Stranger Things. I watched a couple episodes, terrified of it. And then I saw the Horror Nights house in 2018. That's when I started getting interested in it. I was like, that looks awesome. And then the second one, I was like, oh my God. Right. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to go to Horror Nights the next year. COVID happens. Dun dun. And it doesn't happen. And then I finally watched Stranger Things, like 2 years ago now? Watch all of it, become obsessed with it. And I'm like, I need them to do a Stranger Things house. Like, I need to hear that music in the house. I need to see a Demogorgon. I need to see Hopper. I don't want to talk about him not being there, but I will talk. I am going to talk about it. Why wasn't he there? Anyway, what?
It could have been number 1 had Hopper been there.
If Hopper
That's what I was gonna say.
If Hopper was in the Stranger Things house, it would be my number 1. If I saw Hopper with my own eyeballs, done. Anyway, I loved season 4. I loved season 4. It was cinematic masterpiece, even though it's not a movie. It's still cinema. Absolute cinema. I walking it, well, first off, that whole day leading up to opening night 4 nights, I'm just like losing my mind. Like, so excited. It's the first house we do because I specifically requested my group. They're like, we have to do Stranger Things 4 first. So we got a return time. We're in line. We're getting closer. I start hearing the music and I'm just like, and I walk in and it's Eddie's house and I'm just crying. I cried that entire first walk through the house because it was like, as much as everybody's it's perfection, and I don't want to hear it. I cried so hard. I always would see the same cast, so like I'd get like they'd remember, I'd remember like, oh my god, I'd always give Eddie the hearts. I'd play my air guitar. Oh my god. I'd play my air guitar for Eddie. And it was just the best. It was so good. It was so good. And Lucas, it was so good. It was so good. That last night, I did it twice that last night. It was also the first house I soloed at Horror Nights because I wasn't really that scared of it. That was the first house I soloed. And when I went in that house for the last time, I bawled my eyes out. I literally, oh my gosh, and Robin, I gave her friendship bracelets so many times all season, and it was oh my god, it was just the best. It was the best. I would literally give anything to experience Stranger Things or Horror Nights again. And I know people are like, we don't want season 5 house. We want it. I really don't care. I want it. They have to do, if they don't do a season 5 house, there's something wrong. Like, I will build it myself, just like how I built a Scream house. I will build it with my own bare hands. You don't even have to pay me. Like, just give me a hammer, give me a screwdriver, a can of paint, and we're good. I got it. But anyway, Stranger Things Horror Nights house, my number 2. And honestly, I don't know if you guys, hold on, I gotta clean my glasses while I talk. I don't know if y'all have guessed my number 1. I feel like I talk about this like a lot, and I love it. It's at Universal, and I love it like a lot when the time comes, and I'm there a lot, and it's not Horror Nights related. And yeah. Grinchmas, specifically the stage show, is my number 1. And like Kelley, I don't want to cry talking about it, but I love Grinchmas so much. I have always loved the Grinch. Like, I have several Grinch onesies, cups, any shirt. Like, I love the Grinch. I can recite the entire movie forwards and backwards, just like Princess Diaries too. But anyway, so like I saw it for the first time when I was younger, and it was when it was in the soundstage, and it was huge, and like I just remember like being in awe of it, and then I met the Grinch and I cried.
Yep.
I cried meeting the Grinch because I love him so bad. And then I finally got to see the Grinch when I moved back to Orlando, and I cried. And I will forever be sorry, this is a top that's on my dad's desk. I will forever be mad that TikTok made the Grinch blow up because now I can't meet him. It's a 4-hour wait to meet the Grinch. And that sucks for me personally because that's just like the best. But like getting to experience like Grinchmas in its full and like not a COVID year with all of the Who's and the land, and then like the show. The show is like my church. That is church. I last year, because I only got to go one day last year, and I looped it all day like I usually do. I walked into that theater and just started crying. And then the show started and I'm crying. But anytime I see it, Where Are You Christmas makes me bawl my eyes out like a child. Like, even if this is like, there was one day I literally saw every single show. Like, even at the end of the night, I've seen this like 6 or 7 times now. I'm still sobbing. Like, sitting in the front, just like bawling my eyes out. And then again at the end, when like the snow happened, I'm gonna cry thinking about it. I'm literally gonna cry thinking about it. Like with the snow, I just love Christmas, and I can't wait for it to come back. And I don't know, I love Grinchmas, and I would really like to do Grinchmas at some point, but who knows? I I think that will always be my number 1 because it's just like, who doesn't love the Grinch? And it's just like the story is so great, and it's just like, it's so good. There was one time I was seeing it in the Grinch, in the show when he grabs the Who hash off the mantle and he like says a funny thing. There was one time where he went, "That's a spicy meatball," and I lost my mind. I have it on video. I like I just like
I
love
need to
it.
see that.
I'll find it. I have so many videos of stupid stuff that the Grinch has said during the show because I just go a lot, so I kind of expected stuff. Like I knew when stuff was coming, so I just get it on video so I can have it forever. And I don't know, I just like I love it. Like Hornet is I don't know. I think Grinchmas is my favorite like event that Universal does. But like HHN is my favorite like marquee event, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like whole park wide, like both park. Well, I guess HHN's not at the other park. You know what I mean though? They're kind of separate. HHN is my favorite Universal side. Grinchmas is my favorite Island side because Grinchmas, I guess, is only Island side. I don't know. I just really love Grinchmas, and it had to be my number one. Like I'm so looking forward to it. I can't wait to be there opening day, bawling my eyes out because I'll be living there now. Surprise, I'm moving back to Orlando. Woo! And I just love it. But yeah, those are my top two. Very predictable.
Yes, as soon as you said it, I don't know why it took me so long to think of that. That makes perfect sense for you. I cannot believe that I messed that up. Also, hilarious that you said who doesn't love the Grinch when there's someone on this podcast that's not me
Oh,
that doesn't
wait!
love the Grinch.
Hello. Yeah, Adam, we're going to stage
Hello.
your intervention and you're not going to know when it's coming, but it'll happen.
Listen, I
We're going to
love
get you
the
in
Grinch.
line for Universal Monsters. We're going to force you to watch it.
I love the Grinchmas Holiday Spectacular. It's a fantastic show. One of the best Christmas shows. One of the best shows that Universal does. I agree with you. I like the animated TV one from the 60s, but I do not care for the Jim Carrey Grinch, and I really don't care for the Illumination Grinch. I'm sorry, that's just
I
my
haven't even
opinion.
watched the Illumination.
Don't
Neither have
Grinch.
I.
bother.
That
Don't
one
bother.
doesn't count.
Yeah,
Sorry,
no.
Benedict Cumberbatch. It doesn't count.
I do think Jim Carrey does a great job, but I have my
He's so
reservations,
good.
and I'm not going to make this my How the Grinch Stole Christmas like anti-review because I want to celebrate Bella and the Grinchmas Holiday Spectacular being her number one.
It's so good. Honestly, every time you guys mention something, I'm like, oh, that should have been in my honorable mentions because I do love that show so much. And I just love Grinchmas Time. I have a lot of memories with that. And I love your love of Grinchmas as well.
I love Grinchmas so much. I love it. I might watch The Grinch tonight. Even though it's not on streaming, I'm just going to buy it. Like, I really don't care. Like,
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it. Just.
How would you describe that to our audio listeners?
Well, can they hear it?
Yeah.
Like, like puppy eyes, like
There you go, puppy eye.
puppy eyes, but like sobbing.
Gotcha.
Real.
I can't believe you don't
Everyone's-
like the live action Grinch movie. That's like actually insane to me when it's such a stacked cast.
I love
Have
the
you
Cat in the Hat
seen-
though.
Okay, but like, who doesn't love him?
Have you seen season 2 of Chucky where they
No.
tie Chucky to a chair and force him to watch happy things until he is nice? That's gonna be us with the Grinch until you like it.
You got the guy from Arrested Development. You got Christine Baranski. You've got Jim Carrey.
You got the
You've
Swinger
got-
Who's.
You have the Swinger Who's. You have Miss Briggs from iCarly.
Yeah.
You have
What?
yeah, she's one of the Grinch's moms. Yeah.
I did not know
Yeah,
that.
girl.
Wow.
And you have that really good song, The Streets Are Full of Christmas Cheer.
That's not where I thought you were going when you said that great song. I thought you were going to go, Where Are You Christmas? That makes the film.
Okay. Well, obviously that one. Obviously. The one that makes me cry in the show. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, obviously that one. That's such a great like rendition of it. But also the credits one with Faith Hill, banger.
So good.
And when he burns the Christmas tree, burn, baby, burn! Like, it's so good!
Oh
I'm not going.
man.
I feel like I could be the Grinch.
You are
could.
the Grinch.
First
Wallowing
the
female
best
Grinch in
way.
Universal history.
Huh?
Yes. Yes.
The first female Grinch in Universal Orlando history.
Clock it.
I will say I feel like everyone's list it's just so very them.
Right.
Also, the only thing though, I'm gonna say this for the third time this night. I'm a fraud. If you were to ask me with there's no rules, no anything, what is your favorite theme park thing of all time? And I could pick an entire event, an entire land, it would be Halloween Horror Nights. So why was I the one who had it the least at all?
Yeah.
I had one house and everybody else had
Did
it.
I have the most HHN?
Yes.
Yes.
But Adam had bugs in honorable mentions.
Mhm.
So I had it the least.
kidding.
I had it the lowest. I'm a fraud, you guys.
Fake
I mean,
fan, hand over your FFP.
now I will say, hold on. I guess I would be tied with Adam because I did have a scare zone in my honorable mentions. So
Oh,
that is two
true.
things.
True.
It's not two houses, but it is technically two things. But still, I had it the lowest, and I am shocked, to be honest with you.
What's
I
playing
wanted
in
to put it
my-
higher, but
What's playing in my head right now as we're realizing this is from Cat in the Hat, the dun dun dun.
I'm what can I say? I'm a haunted house girly, but I'm also a rides girly to my core. My top three were
Yeah.
all rides after I adjusted.
Can you tell I like shows and entertainment?
Well, yes, we knew that. You're the entertainment girly of the group.
And
More than
troll
any
ice
of us. And
cream.
we That was so
Like if
funny.
there's ever somebody to put like one of the Wizarding World shows on their list, I would think Bella Harvey would probably put like
You know, fun
Celestina
fact,
Warbeck or something.
I've only seen Celestina once.
I've not really seen her at all.
And
Get a virtual day.
I've seen Durmstrang like twice, but that's all the Harry Potter shows I've seen. I don't really care.
Yeah, well, I just
Right,
meant not
wanna-
really from a Harry Potter perspective, but from
No,
like
I know what you mean.
entertainment. Yeah,
Like Beat
until we
Builders.
take you on all of those rides that are on your haven't done list.
It's a long list.
It is.
It's a
It'll be in
really
the-
long
if you want to know,
list.
it's in the bonus episode from last week.
I'll drag
It
you.
is.
Ooh.
I
need to
forgot
go
we
listen
did
to
that. It is.
Yeah. Because it was a part of the 40-minute episode that was actually an hour 20 episode, kind of.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a 20. So I think before we wrap up, let's go through our top 10 one more time. Not like list it up, well, like not go in detail, but just list it for those who are keeping track at home.
Go
Kelley,
10 to 1.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, me. Number 10 is Hocus Pocus Villain Spectacular. My number 9 is Yak and Yeti. My number 8 is Cinderella's Castle Dream Lights. My number 7 is Hagrid's Magical Creature Motorbike Adventure. Okay, my number 6 is Horror Makeup Show. See, that seems too low now, but it's okay. My number 5 is Slaughter Cinema. My number 4 is Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Okay, here we are. My number 3 is the Spider-Man ride. My number 2 is Men in Black Alien Attack. And my number 1 is Haunted Mansion Holiday.
And my top 10 was Cyberspace Mountain, number 10. Number 9, Universal Orlando's Horror Makeup Show. Number 8, Impressions de France, which I apparently feel very passionately about. Number 7, Goomba. Number 6, Mickey's PhilharMagic. Number 5, Living with the Land. Number 4, Haunted Mansion. Number 3, Manta. Number 2, Universal Monsters. The Bride of Frankenstein Lives. And number 1, The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man.
Period. And mine is 10, Siren Song at SeaWorld. 9, Phantasmic. 8, Wicked Growth. 7, The Trolls Ice Cream Stand. 6, The Icons whatever, Horror Nights House. You know what it is. Number 5 is Spider-Man, but it should be higher. I'm aware. 4 is the Sesame Street Party Parade. 3 is Elmo Rocks. 2 is Stranger Things 4 HHN House. And number 1 is Grinchmas, A Holiday Spectacular.
Right
Period.
on.
Period.
This has been a great episode. This has been very revealing about all of us.
We've laughed, we've screamed,
We've almost cried.
Yeah.
I think each of us have an attraction in our top 2 that almost bring us to tears.
And for you, it
Actually-
is Impressions de France. Is that what it's called?
And
I was
gonna
France
say-
de France, yeah.
I was gonna say Tour de France, but that's like
Tour de
biking
France.
or
I
something.
don't even think that's in the show.
Well, that's
Adam-
sad.
I actually, the closest I got to tears was you talking about Bride of Frankenstein Lives, and that's probably not even in my top 10 houses, although I love it. It's great. I do not think it's the
in
worst
my
Monsters
top
house.
10
And
houses.
worst Monsters house is a terrible sentence because they're all brilliant.
Oh, absolutely. right.
Oh,
Yes.
well,
Oh, right. You hate Legends Collide. Get out of here.
Get out of here. Okay, but anyway.
it was too scary for me.
Oh, it's
Brides
very
is-
scary.
Brides is better than Legends Clyde though. But
Correct.
when you were talking about the ending of that, like the We Belong Alive and like the queer, that really like got to me for some reason. Like the queer like storytelling in that, just like
Never thought of it.
I
like
don't
that.
know. It really got to me. So thank you for that. That was really impactful.
That's what I'm here for.
It's what
Just wait for the
I-
10-minute audio essay.
Only
Woo!
10 minutes.
Oh, no, it might be longer, but I'm trying to limit myself.
18 hours.
Longer than any Frankenstein movie. You can binge the 7 Frankenstein movies, including Abbott and Costello, and you'd
Before you finish.
you'd still be able to watch them all back again before you finish this audio essay.
Mhm.
And it's done without stopping. So get ready for delirium.
It's like that guy on TikTok that just stayed up for like what 11 days on TikTok Live. This has been such a great episode, you guys.
It has.
It has. Like
One of my
we've-
favorites, honestly.
No, me too, honestly.
This is
This
one of
has
the
been
top of
fun.
the recommended pile.
Yeah. Anyway, Kelley.
That works.
Kelley, where can the people find you on the social of the medias?
They can't. I'm just kidding. You can find me on our Instagram, Theme Park Workshop. If you message me on there, I will say hello. You can also find me at kells.hoff. That's Kells with an S on Instagram. You can also find me at killer_Kells with an S on it's Twitter. Don't call it anything else. It's Twitter, on the Twitter. And if it says I'm private on Instagram, I'll still let you follow me. I go back and forth between whether or not I want to be private. So just give me a follow. I'd love to interact with y'all and chat with y'all. And that's where I am. Oh, and I'm also on our TikTok, Theme Park Workshop. I have not been posting as much on there, but I'm going to try.
Slay. Adam, where can the people find you?
Oh, I'm pretty sure they can find me at AdamJ_film on the Twitters. You can also join me on the Patreon at patreon.com/themeparkworkshop. Bonus episodes, we've mentioned it before. We got bonus episodes on there. We give updates. If you were on there, you knew this was coming. Eventually. I'm glad we finally got to record it. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Slay. And then you can find me on Instagram at Flynn Rider's Nose. And then on Twitter at Bella Harvey with 2 Y's. And then on the Theme Park Workshop Twitter, which is Workshop TP. Trying to bring her back. Trying but failing, but trying. We're trying. But yeah, that's where you can find all of us. Thank you guys for listening. Please leave in the comments your top 10. I'm sure we all would love to know. Thank you to our patrons that we mentioned at the beginning. We love y'all. And we'll see y'all soon.
Bye.
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 Bye.